I noticed the receipts first, not because I was looking, not because I'm the jealous type who checks pockets and scrolls through phones while she's in the shower. I'm not that guy. Never have been. 14 years of marriage, and I'd never once felt the need to verify where my wife was or what she was doing. Trust was the foundation, right? That's what everyone says. That's what the marriage counselor we saw 5 years ago kept repeating like a mantra. Trust is everything. But when you're the one who does laundry in a house where your wife stopped doing it 3 years ago because her time is more valuable, you see things. You find things. Little pieces of evidence that don't mean anything on their own, but when you line them up, they start to form a picture. Coffee. 11:30 on a Tuesday morning. A place called Ember and Oak, downtown, nowhere near her office in the medical district. The receipt was folded tight, creased down the middle like it had been in someone's pocket for a while, tucked into the front pocket of her navy blazer. The blazer she wore to important meetings, the one that cost $400 and made her look like she belonged in a boardroom. I stood there in our bedroom Tuesday afternoon, holding that little slip of thermal paper between my thumb and forefinger, and I felt something shift in my chest. Not panic, not the hot rush of anger you see in movies where the husband smashes a lamp or punches a wall, just this cold, creeping awareness that I'd been missing something obvious for a while now. Maybe months, maybe longer. The receipt was dated last Thursday. She told me she was having lunch with her team that day. A working lunch, she'd said. Strategy session for the new client pitch. She'd come home at 6:30 that evening, complaining about how exhausting it was to manage creative people who couldn't stay on topic. I'd believed her. Of course I'd believed her. Why wouldn't I? My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm 42 years old, though some days I feel older than that. I manage technical operations for a mid-sized commercial real estate firm here in the city. Sterling Property Group, if you want to know. We handle about 30 buildings. Everything from office towers to retail complexes to industrial warehouses on the outskirts. It's the kind of job people don't understand when you explain it at parties, so I stopped trying about 5 years ago. Now when someone asks what I do, I just say building management and watch their eyes glaze over. Basically, I make sure buildings don't fall apart. I coordinate contractors, electricians, plumbers, HVAC techs, cleaning crews. I oversee security systems, access controls, surveillance cameras. I handle vendor relationships, insurance claims, emergency repairs at 3 a.m. when a pipe bursts or an alarm goes off. I'm the guy who knows where every shutoff valve is, who has override codes for every locked door, who can pull up security footage from 6 months ago if someone needs it. It's boring. It's stable. It pays $78,000 a year, which used to feel like good money until my wife started making twice that. Lauren Hayes, 39, marketing director at a boutique healthcare consulting firm called Meridian Health Strategies. She manages a team of 6. She creates campaigns for medical device companies and pharmaceutical startups. She wears expensive clothes and drives a leased BMW and drinks $30 bottles of wine on weeknights. We've been married 14 years, met in college, Penn State. I was studying facilities management. She was studying communications. We dated for 3 years, lived together for 2, got married when we were both 28. No kids. That was her call, not mine. But I went along with it because that's what I do. I go along. She said she wanted to focus on her career, that children would derail everything she'd worked for, that we could always adopt later if we changed our minds. I said okay. I said I understood. I said whatever she needed. And for a long time, it was fine. We had a nice house in a decent neighborhood. We took vacations. We had dinner parties with other couples. We looked like we had it figured out. But somewhere along the way, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4, something shifted. She started working later, coming home after I was already asleep, spending weekends at the office, taking calls in the other room, getting irritated when I asked questions. I thought it was stress, work pressure, the natural evolution of a marriage where 2 people grow into their separate lives. I didn't think it was this. I put the blazer back in the closet, folding it carefully the way she liked, and went downstairs. It was almost 6. She'd be home soon. Tuesday was her yoga night, except she'd canceled yoga 3 weeks ago, saying the instructor was terrible and the class was full of annoying people. I wondered now if that was true. I wondered what else wasn't true. The kitchen smelled like the lemon cleaner I'd used that morning. Everything was spotless. I'm not obsessive, but I like things orderly. Clean counters, empty sink, dishwasher emptied and ready. It's just easier that way. Lauren was sitting at the island when I walked in, scrolling through her phone, coffee mug in hand. She didn't look up when I entered. She was wearing her yoga pants, black, expensive brand, the kind that costs $90, and a loose gray sweater that hung off one shoulder. Her dark hair was pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup. She looked tired or bored. I couldn't tell anymore. "Hey," I said. Mm-hmm." I poured myself a glass of water from the tap and leaned against the counter, watching her. Her thumb moved in small, precise flicks across the screen. She was reading something. Texts, maybe. Her expression was neutral, but there was this little smile playing at the corner of her mouth. The kind of smile you don't notice unless you're looking for it. "How was your day?" I asked. "Fine." "Busy?" "Yeah." I drank my water slowly, waiting for her to elaborate. She didn't. "You have any meetings today?" I asked. She glanced up briefly, then back down. "A few? Downtown?" Her thumb stopped mid-scroll, just for a second. Then it started again. "Why?" she asked. "Just asking." "I might grab lunch with Melissa tomorrow," she said. Her voice was casual. Too casual. "Haven't decided yet." Melissa, her college roommate. Lives in Columbus, Ohio. Hasn't visited in 3 years. Last time Lauren mentioned her was 6 months ago when Melissa got engaged to some guy who worked in finance. "That'll be nice," I said. "She's in town?" "Yeah, quick trip. Business thing." "Cool." I finished my water and put the glass in the sink. When I turned back around, she was watching me now, her eyes sharp and focused, like she was trying to figure something out. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, why?" "You seem weird." "Weird how?" She shrugged. "I don't know, just weird." "I'm fine," I said. She held my gaze for another second, then went back to her phone. "Okay," she said. I left the room and went upstairs to the office, the small third bedroom we'd converted into a workspace. My desk was against the window overlooking the backyard. The grass needed mowing, the fence needed painting, everything needed something. I sat down and opened my laptop, typed Ember and Oak into the search bar. It was a coffee shop, small, trendy, exposed brick, Edison bulbs, reclaimed wood tables. The kind of place that charges $7 for a latte and calls it artisanal. Downtown, like I'd thought, West Side. About 20 minutes from Lauren's office in normal traffic. I closed the laptop and sat there, staring out the window as the light faded and the backyard sank into shadow. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, I came home early. My last site inspection of the day finished ahead of schedule. Routine check on a retail complex in the suburbs, everything up to code, no issues, so I swung by the house around 4. Lauren's car was in the driveway, the black BMW, spotless as always. She took it to the car wash every Saturday morning without fail. I parked next to it and walked in through the garage. The house was quiet, too quiet. No TV, no music, no sounds of movement, just this thick, heavy silence that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "Lauren," I called out. Nothing. I set my keys on the counter and walked through the kitchen into the hallway. Everything looked normal, clean, orderly, but something felt off, like the air pressure had changed. I climbed the stairs slowly, listening. When I reached the landing, I saw that our bedroom door was closed. We never closed it during the day, not unless one of us was changing or on a work call. I opened it. Lauren was sitting on the edge of the bed, fully dressed in her work clothes. Black pants, white blouse, heels on the floor next to her feet. She was staring at her phone, both hands wrapped around it like it was something precious. When the door opened, her head snapped up, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. "You're home early," she said. Her voice was higher than normal. "Yeah. Inspection finished quick." "Oh." She stood up fast, smoothed her pants, adjusted her blouse, walked past me out of the room without looking at me. I caught a whiff of something as she passed. Not her perfume, not her lotion, something else. Something faint and unfamiliar. I stood there for a moment, looking around the bedroom. The bed was made, the pillows were arranged perfectly. Everything looked exactly like I'd left it that morning, but the air smelled different. Not bad, just different. I went back downstairs. Lauren was in the kitchen, pouring wine even though it wasn't even 5 o'clock yet. "Want some?" she asked, holding up the bottle. "Something red. Expensive. From the collection she kept in the wine fridge." "No thanks." She poured herself a generous glass and took a long drink, leaning against the counter, watching me over the rim. "You sure you're okay, Dan?" "I'm fine." "You seem off." "I'm not." She tilted her head slightly, studying me. Her expression was unreadable. "If you say so," she said finally. She took her wine and walked into the living room. I heard the TV turn on, some reality show she liked, voices arguing over background music. I stayed in the kitchen and made myself a sandwich, turkey and cheese on wheat bread, and ate it standing at the counter, staring at nothing. That night, she went to bed early, said she had a headache. I stayed up, sitting in the dark living room, turning things over in my mind. Thursday morning, she was already gone when I woke up. No note, no text, just an empty space in the bed where she'd been. I got ready for work slowly, methodically. Shower, shave, coffee, toast. I stood at the kitchen window and watched a crow pick through the grass in the backyard, looking for something. At the office, I went through the motions, responded to emails, took calls from contractors, reviewed inspection reports, but my mind was somewhere else. Thursday night, she went out. Girls' night, she announced as she came downstairs at 7, grabbing her purse and keys from the hook by the door. She was wearing jeans and a tight black top I hadn't seen before. New, probably expensive. With who? I asked from the couch. Melissa and some people from work? I thought Melissa was only here for a day. She extended her trip. Oh. We're probably going to Juniper. Maybe that new place on 5th? Juniper was a wine bar downtown. Trendy, loud. The kind of place where you couldn't hear yourself think and drinks cost $18. Have fun, I said. She walked over, leaned down, kissed me on the cheek. It felt like something you'd do to a relative you barely knew. Obligatory, perfunctory. Don't wait up, she said. The door closed behind her. I heard the car start, the garage door open and close, then silence. I sat there on the couch for 20 minutes, staring at the TV without seeing it. Some baseball game. I couldn't tell you who was playing. Then I got up, went to my office, and opened my laptop. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I'm not ashamed either. Maybe I should be. Maybe there was a time when I would have been. But that version of me was gone now, buried under the weight of too many small lies and evasions and things that didn't add up. I logged into our phone account. We share a family plan with Verizon, and I'm the primary account holder, which means I have access to everything. Usage data, call logs, text message counts. I can't see the actual content of the messages. They're encrypted, thankfully, or maybe not, but I can see timestamps, frequency, numbers. Lauren's log was extensive. Hundreds of texts in the last month alone, most of them to numbers I recognized. Her mom, her assistant, her best friend Jenna from yoga, me. But there was one number that appeared over and over, 67 times in the last 2 weeks, always between 10 at night and midnight, never during work hours, never when she might be caught. I wrote it down on a Post-it note, stared at it for a long time, then I opened a browser window and did what every suspicious husband in America eventually does. I reverse searched the number. The first site I tried wanted me to create an account. The second one wanted $15. The third one, some sketchy operation with ads for Russian brides and crypto scams, gave me a name for free after I entered my email address. Paul Hendricks. I didn't recognize the name, so I searched for that too. LinkedIn. Real estate investor. Principal consultant at Hendricks & Associates, a firm that specialized in property acquisitions and development. 46 years old. University of Virginia grad. Married. 2 kids. His profile picture showed a man with salt and pepper hair, a deep tan, and a smile that screamed confidence. White teeth, strong jaw. The kind of guy who'd never been told no in his life and wouldn't know what to do if he was. I clicked through to his personal social media. Facebook, Instagram, posts about family time, charity golf tournaments, closing deals, pictures of him shaking hands with clients, standing in front of construction sites, holding drinks at networking events. One photo caught my attention, him and his wife at some gala. She was tall, elegant, dark hair swept back, wearing a black dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Andrea, the caption said. Her expression was poised, controlled, the kind of smile you practice in front of a mirror. I stared at that picture for a long time. Then I closed the laptop and sat in the dark office, listening to the house creak and settle around me. Lauren came home at 1:30 in the morning. I heard the garage door, the car engine shutting off, her heels clicking on the tile floor downstairs. I was lying in bed, eyes closed, pretending to be asleep. She stumbled a little getting undressed. I heard her curse softly when she knocked something off the dresser. Then she climbed into bed, smelling like wine and cigarettes and something else I couldn't identify, something sweet and chemical. She curled up on her side, facing away from me, and within 5 minutes her breathing had evened out into the slow rhythm of sleep. I lay there in the dark for another hour, staring at the ceiling, running through everything in my head, the receipts, the phone logs, the lies about Melissa, the smell in our bedroom, The way she looked at me now, or didn't look at me, like I was furniture she'd stopped noticing years ago. Paul Hendricks. I wasn't imagining things. I was just late to the truth. Friday morning, I called in a favor. His name was Eric Tompkins, and he ran security operations for one of the largest buildings in my portfolio, a 15-story office tower downtown that housed law firms, consulting groups, and a boutique investment bank on the top floor. Eric was ex-military, Army Rangers, served 2 tours in Afghanistan before coming home and transitioning into private security. Mid-50s, stocky build, gray crew cut, the kind of guy who never asked unnecessary questions as long as you didn't waste his time with nonsense. We'd worked together for 6 years. I trusted him more than I trusted most people. We met for coffee at a diner near the industrial park, where I had a warehouse inspection scheduled for later that afternoon. The place was old, vinyl booths and formica tables, smelling like bacon grease and burnt coffee. Eric was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, reading something on his phone. He looked up when I slid into the seat across from him. "You look terrible," he said. "Thanks." "I mean it. When's the last time you slept?" "I don't know. Tuesday?" He set his phone down and leaned back, studying me with the kind of look that made you feel like he could see through walls. "What's going on?" he asked. The waitress came over. Eric ordered eggs, toast, hash browns, orange juice. I ordered nothing. She looked at me like I was crazy and walked away. I pulled out the Post-it note with Paul Hendricks' number on it, slid it across the table along with a printout of his LinkedIn profile. "I need to know where this guy goes," I said. "Who he meets? What his schedule looks like?" Eric picked up the paper, glanced at it, then at me. "This personal." "Yeah. How personal? Does it matter?" "It does if you're asking me to do something that'll get me in trouble." "I'm not asking you to break any laws," I said. "I just need information." He folded the paper and tucked it into his jacket pocket. "Legal surveillance," he said. "Public spaces only." "Exactly." "How much time do I have?" "Not much. A week, maybe." "Give me 3 days," he said. "I'll see what I can find." The waitress brought his food. He picked up his fork, cut into the eggs, took a bite. "You want some advice?" he asked. "Not really." "I'm going to give it anyway," I sighed. "Go ahead." "Whatever you're thinking of doing," he said, "think twice. Guys like you don't come back from this kind of thing the same." "Guys like me?" "Good guys," he said. "Guys who follow the rules. Guys who try to do the right thing." "Maybe I'm tired of being good." He looked at me for a long moment, chewing slowly. "Yeah," he said finally. "I can see that." I stood up and dropped a $20 bill on the table. "Call me when you have something," I said. "Dan." I stopped, turned back. "Be careful," he said. "Men do stupid things when they're angry, and you look pretty angry right now." "I'm not angry," I said. He smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. "Yeah," he said. "You are." I left the diner and drove to the warehouse inspection. Spent 2 hours walking through a building that smelled like dust and motor oil, checking electrical panels and fire suppression systems, and trying not to think about my wife in a hotel room with a man I'd never met. When I got home that evening, Lauren was on the couch, laptop open, working on something. She barely looked up when I came in. "How was your day?" I asked. "Fine." "What are you working on?" "Proposal for a client." "Need any help?" "No." "Yeah, I went into the kitchen and made dinner. Pasta with marinara sauce, garlic bread from the freezer. I set the table, called her in, and we ate in near silence. "This is good," she said at one point. "Thanks." That was the extent of our conversation. After dinner, she went back to her laptop. I cleaned up, loaded the dishwasher, wiped down the counters. Then I went upstairs and took a shower, letting the hot water run over me until the tank started to cool. When I came out, Lauren was in bed, scrolling through her phone, face illuminated by the blue glow of the screen. "You coming to bed?" she asked without looking up. "In a minute." I got dressed and went back downstairs, sat in the dark living room with the TV off, listening to the house settle. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. "Eric. Got something. Can you talk?" "Yeah." "Your guy's a creature of habit. Lunch at Ember and Oak every Tuesday and Thursday, 12:15 on the dot, same table near the back, meets a woman there, brunette, late 30s, they stay about an hour." My stomach clenched. "You get a picture?" "Didn't need to." "Why not?" "Because I already know who she is." "How?" There was a pause on the other end. "Because you gave me her number 3 years ago when you set up the emergency contact info for your building access pass. Lauren Hayes." I closed my eyes. The room spun a little. Dan, Eric said, "You still there?" "Yeah." "What do you want to do?" "Nothing yet." "You sure?" "I'm sure." I wasn't sure, but I hung up anyway. Saturday and Sunday were a blur. Lauren went shopping Saturday afternoon, came back with bags from Nordstrom and Saks. Spent Sunday on her laptop in the home office with the door closed. I mowed the lawn, fixed a broken hinge on the back gate, replaced a light bulb in the hallway. Normal weekend stuff. The kind of thing you do when you're trying not to think about your entire life unraveling. Sunday night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Lauren, listening to her breathe, and felt like a stranger in my own house. Monday morning, I left for work before she woke up, didn't leave a note, didn't say goodbye. Tuesday, I did something I'd promised myself I wouldn't do. I left work at 11:30, told my assistant I had a migraine and needed to go home, drove downtown instead. Ember and Oak was exactly what I'd pictured. Small storefront, brick exterior, big windows, inside exposed ductwork, pendant lights, mismatched furniture that was supposed to look authentic and artisanal but probably cost a fortune. I parked 3 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance, found a spot across the street, a bus stop with a bench, and a partial view of the coffee shop entrance. At 12:20, Lauren arrived. She was wearing a dark blue dress I'd never seen before. Heels, hair down, styled. She looked beautiful. She always looked beautiful. That had never been the problem. She walked into Ember and Oak like she owned the place, confident, unhurried. 5 minutes later, Paul Hendricks arrived. He was taller than I'd expected from his photos, maybe 6'2", well-dressed, charcoal suit, no tie, white shirt open at the collar. He walked with the easy swagger of someone who'd never had to worry about money or consequences. They sat at a table near the back, partially obscured by a decorative wall made of reclaimed wood. But I could see enough. She laughed at something he said, touched his hand across the table. He leaned in close, whispered something. She smiled. I watched for 30 seconds. That was all I could take. I turned and walked back to my car, sat there for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't put my fist through the dashboard or call her or drive back there and drag her out of that coffee shop. I just sat there and felt something inside me go cold and quiet and calculating. That night, Lauren came home at 7. She was in a good mood, humming while she put her purse down, smiling at her phone. "How was your day?" she asked, breezy and casual, like she'd spent it doing anything other than what she'd actually been doing. "Fine," I said. "Yours?" "Busy, but good." "Have lunch?" She paused. Just a heartbeat. I saw it. The micro-hesitation, the mental calculation. "Grabbed a salad at my desk," she said smoothly. "Why?" "Just asking." She studied me for a second, then shrugged. "Okay." I made dinner that night. Chicken, rice, steamed broccoli. She picked at it, drank 2 glasses of wine, talked about some client presentation her team was working on. I nodded in the right places, made appropriate sounds, played the role of the supportive husband. And the whole time, I was thinking, planning. Wednesday morning, I started building the map. Paul Hendricks, 46 years old, married to Andrea Hendricks for 21 years. 2 kids, Tyler, 17, Emma, 15, both at private school, St. Augustine Prep, tuition $45,000 a year per kid. His business, Hendricks and Associates, was legitimate. Commercial real estate investments, property flipping, development consulting. He made good money, really good money. Tax records showed income north of $500,000 annually. Andrea Hendricks was no slouch either. Estate attorney, partner at Whitman & Cross, a boutique firm specializing in high-net-worth clients. She handled trusts, wills, asset protection, separation agreements. I found their home address. A gated community called Riverside Estates on the north side of the city. Houses starting at $2 million. Manicured lawns, private security. The kind of place where everyone drives a German car and pretends they're happy. I spent hours combing through Paul's social media. Photos of family vacations in the Caribbean, him and Andrea at charity galas, the kids at sports events, posts about gratitude and family values and living your best life. All of it performance, all of it lies. I printed everything, built a folder, timeline, schedule, connections, patterns, and I realized something important. Paul Hendricks thought he was untouchable. He had money, status, a wife who kept up appearances. He thought he could do whatever he wanted because men like him always think that. But men like him always underestimate men like me. Thursday, I followed him. Not physically, I didn't need to. I knew his patterns now, knew his schedule. At 6:15, he left his office building downtown. I tracked him using the city's traffic cameras. One of the perks of working in commercial real estate is knowing which systems connect to which networks. He drove to a parking garage on 7th Street, 3rd level, met Lauren there. They talked for a minute by her car. Then they got into his, a black Lexus, tinted windows, license plate I memorized without trying. They drove to the Grandview Hotel, not a cheap place, 4 stars, marble lobby, valet parking. I didn't follow them inside. I didn't need to. They came out 90 minutes later. Lauren's hair was different. Paul's collar was crooked. They stood by his car and talked for a moment. Then he kissed her. Not a peck, a real kiss. The kind that made my chest tighten. She got in her car and drove home. I followed her from a distance. Watched her pull into our driveway, walk into our house, turn on the lights in our kitchen. I sat in my car 2 blocks away, engine off, watching the glow from our windows. And I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I wasn't going to yell or beg or demand explanations. I was going to do something she'd never see coming, something that would change everything. Friday morning, I called Eric again. I need more, I said without preamble. More what? Everything. His wife, his business partners, his clients, his weak spots. There was a pause on the other end. You're serious about this? Yes. Dan, I need to know what you're planning. I'm not planning anything illegal, I said. I just need information. Another pause, longer this time. This is going to cost you. How much? $2,000. Cash. I didn't hesitate. Done. Give me until Wednesday. Make it Monday. Can't guarantee Monday. Try. He sighed. I'll do what I can. I hung up and went about my Friday. Site inspections, contractor meetings, emails, the normal rhythm of work that felt anything but normal now. That night, Lauren came home early. 6:30. She was in a good mood again. Made herself a drink, vodka tonic, and settled onto the couch with her laptop. What are you working on? I asked from the kitchen where I was chopping vegetables for stir-fry. Campaign strategy, she said. New pharma client, big account. That's good. Yeah, if we land it, there's a bonus. How much? 20,000. I stopped chopping. That's great, Lauren. I know, right? Plus it'll look amazing on my portfolio. She seemed genuinely excited, animated in a way I hadn't seen in months. It was jarring, like watching a stranger wear your wife's face. When will you find out? I asked. Next month? We present in 3 weeks. I'm sure you'll get it. She looked up, smiled. Thanks, babe. Babe. She hadn't called me that in at least a year. Saturday, Lauren went shopping again. I stayed home and dove deeper into my research. Paul Hendricks' business wasn't just legitimate, it was impressive. Hendricks and Associates had closed over $60 million in deals in the past 3 years. Commercial properties, residential developments, even a few industrial conversions. But impressive didn't mean clean. I found building permits that didn't match inspection dates, contractor invoices that seemed inflated, a pattern of last-minute change orders that pushed projects over budget. Nothing illegal. Not quite. But enough to raise questions if someone started asking them. His personal life was equally curated. Every social media post was polished. Every photo professionally composed. The kind of life that looked perfect from the outside but felt hollow when you looked closer. Andrea Hendricks was harder to read. Her online presence was minimal. Professional headshots, firm bio, a few photos at charity events, no personal posts, no glimpses into her private thoughts. But her professional reputation was formidable. I found articles where she'd been quoted in legal journals about asset protection strategies. Case summaries where she'd represented clients in complex separations. She was smart, careful, the kind of woman who planned 10 steps ahead. I made a note of that. Sunday, I spent the afternoon in my office organizing everything into a clear, coherent timeline. Dates, locations, patterns, evidence. Lauren knocked on the door around 4. Hey, she said. Want to go out for dinner? I looked up. Where? That Italian place you like, Antonio's. We hadn't been to Antonio's in over a year. It used to be our spot. Birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions. Why? I asked. She shrugged. Just thought it would be nice. Okay. We went. The restaurant was exactly as I remembered. Dark wood, candlelight, red checkered tablecloths. We sat in a corner booth, ordered wine, appetizers, entrees. Lauren was talkative. Told me about work, about her team, about the campaign they were developing. Asked about my job. Laughed at my stories about contractor mishaps. It felt like old times, like the early years when we actually enjoyed each other's company. And it made everything worse. Because now I knew it was all performance. A show. Something she could turn on and off when convenient. On the drive home, she reached over and put her hand on mine. This was nice, she said. Yeah. We should do it more often. Sure. She squeezed my hand. I didn't squeeze back. Monday morning, Eric called at 7 a.m. Got what you need, he said. Can you meet? Where? Same place. 1 hour. I was there in 45 minutes. Eric showed up with a large manila envelope. Thick, heavy. He slid it across the table. Everything's in there, he said. Paul Hendricks, financial records, well, what I could find legally, business licenses, property holdings, known associates, his wife's firm, his kids' school schedules, daily routines, security protocols at his office and home. I opened the envelope. Page after page of detailed information, bank statements, tax returns, property records, photographs, timelines. It was a complete dossier, a roadmap of a man's entire life. How did you get all this? I asked. You don't want to know. Eric, I didn't break any laws, he said. Public records, legal databases, some creative social engineering, that's all. I flipped through the pages. Credit card statements showing restaurants, hotels, jewelry purchases, building access logs, security camera stills. There's something else, Eric said. I looked up. His wife, Andrea. I talked to a guy I know who used to work private security for her firm. He says she's not stupid. She knows. Knows what? That Paul's stepping out. She's been building a case for years, quietly, documenting everything, waiting for the right moment. What kind of case? The kind that ends in a very expensive separation. She's an attorney, Dan. And not just any attorney. She specializes in this. Asset protection, high-conflict dissolving partnerships. She knows exactly how to dismantle him. I sat back, processed that. Why hasn't she done it yet? Probably waiting for maximum leverage. Or maybe she's still deciding if it's worth it. The kids are in high school, separation would be messy, expensive, public. But she's ready. Oh yeah, she's ready. I looked down at the envelope. Thought about Andrea Hendricks? About what it must be like to know your husband is unfaithful, but to stay anyway, planning your exit strategy in silence. Thanks, Eric, I said. What are you going to do with this? I don't know yet. Dan, I know. Be careful. Think twice. Don't do anything stupid. He shook his head. That's not what I was going to say. What then? When this is over, he said quietly. You're not going to be the same guy. You know that, right? I nodded. Yeah, I said. I know. I paid him. Cash. $2,000 in a white envelope. He took it without counting. You need anything else? He said. You call me, but after that, we're done. Understood? Understood. He left. I sat there for another 10 minutes, staring at the envelope. Then I went home and spent the rest of Monday absorbing everything inside. Paul Hendricks was careful, but not careful enough. He used his personal credit card for everything. Hotels, restaurants, gifts. It was all there. A trail of breadcrumbs leading directly to guilt. His business was solid. But there were cracks. Payments to contractors that didn't quite line up. Inspection reports signed off on properties that hadn't been properly vetted. Nothing that would land him in prison, but enough to damage his reputation if exposed. His marriage was a carefully maintained facade. Andrea played her part, showed up at events, smiled for photos, kept the family intact. But she was smarter than him. More patient, more ruthless in her own way. I thought about reaching out to her, introducing myself, offering an alliance, but not yet. First, I needed to make Paul sweat. Tuesday afternoon, I went back downtown, not to Ember and Oak, somewhere else. Paul's office building, mid-rise, glass and steel. I walked into the lobby like I belonged there, nodded at security. Took the elevator to the 4th floor. Hendricks and Associates occupied a corner suite. Through the glass doors, I could see a reception area. Modern furniture, tasteful art, a young woman at the desk. I didn't go in. I just stood there in the hallway for a moment, looking through the glass. Then I walked away. Wednesday night, Lauren came home late again, after 10. She looked tired, flustered. Where were you? I asked. Working. Until 10? Yes, Dan, until 10. We have a presentation due Friday. You could have texted. She turned to face me, eyes sharp, defensive. I don't need to check in with you like I'm a teenager. I didn't say you did, but that's what you're implying. I was just worried. Well, don't be. She grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and went upstairs without another word. I stood in the kitchen, alone, and I decided something. No more waiting. No more watching from the sidelines. It was time to make my presence known. Thursday evening, I drove to Paul Hendrick's office building again. This time, I went all the way. Parking garage, 4th level. I found his car easily. Black Lexus, vanity plate, HNDRCKS. I didn't touch it, didn't leave a note, didn't do anything remotely illegal. I just stood next to it, hands in my pockets, looking at it, and I stayed there for exactly 3 minutes, long enough that if he reviewed the security footage later, which I knew he would, he'd see me, standing there, calm, patient, watching. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. "Who are you?" I smiled, didn't respond, just smiled. Paul Hendricks was starting to understand that someone was paying attention, and that was exactly what I wanted. Saturday afternoon, I told Lauren I was going to the hardware store. "Why?" she asked without looking up from her laptop. "Need new locks for the house." "What's wrong with the old ones?" "They're cheap. Anyone with basic tools could pick them." She shrugged. "Okay. Don't forget to pick up milk on the way back." "Sure." I drove to the hardware store, bought the locks, Schlage deadbolts, top of the line, $200 for the set, loaded them into my trunk, then I drove across town. East Side, where the money lives, private tennis club called Fairmont Athletic. Paul Hendricks played there every Saturday afternoon. I knew this because Eric's dossier included his gym membership details and credit card records showing a recurring monthly charge to Fairmont. I parked in the visitor lot and waited. At 3:10, Paul emerged from the clubhouse. White polo shirt, navy tennis shorts, expensive sneakers, duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He looked relaxed, happy, like a man who'd just finished a pleasant workout and had nothing more pressing to worry about than whether to have salmon or steak for dinner. He walked toward his car. The Lexus was parked in the members section, naturally, and popped the trunk to toss his bag inside. I got out of my car and walked toward him. He didn't see me at first. He was checking his phone, scrolling through something, probably texts. "Paul Hendricks," I said. His head snapped up. He looked at me. Confusion crossed his face first, then recognition. He'd definitely seen the garage footage. Then something else. Wariness, maybe fear. "Do I know you?" he asked, his voice steady but his eyes saying otherwise. "Not yet." I stopped about 6 feet away, far enough to stay respectful, close enough to make him uncomfortable. "Who are you?" he asked again. "Someone you should have thought about before now." He glanced around the parking lot. A few other people were coming and going, cars pulling in and out, but no one close enough to hear us. No one paying attention. "Look, I don't know what you want, but—" "I don't want anything," I said calmly. "I'm just here to introduce myself." "Introduce yourself?" "Yeah, I'm the guy you've been underestimating." His jaw tightened. He straightened up, trying to reclaim some sense of control. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do." I took one step closer, not aggressive, just deliberate. He flinched. "Stay away from me," he said. "Or what?" He didn't answer, because he couldn't. Men like Paul Hendricks aren't used to direct confrontation. They're used to boardrooms and lawyers and threatening emails sent from a safe distance. They're not used to someone standing in front of them, calm and unhurried, making them feel small. "This is harassment," he said finally, trying to sound authoritative. It didn't work. "No," I said. "Harassment would be if I followed you home, if I showed up at your office during business hours, if I sent your wife photos of you and your girlfriend meeting at hotels." His face went pale. Actually pale. The tan couldn't hide it. "I don't have a girlfriend." "Right. My mistake." I held his gaze for another few seconds. Let the silence sit there between us, heavy and uncomfortable. Then I turned and walked back to my car. He stood there, frozen, watching me go. I could feel his eyes on my back the whole way. When I reached my car, I glanced in the rearview mirror. He was still standing there, phone pressed to his ear now, talking to someone. His body language was tense, agitated. Good. I drove home, installed the new locks on the front and back doors. It took an hour. Lauren stayed in the office the whole time, working on whatever project was consuming her attention. When I finished, I went upstairs and knocked on the office door. "Yeah?" she called. I opened it. She was sitting at the desk, laptop open, coffee mug at her elbow. "Locks are done," I said. "Okay." "You need anything?" "No." "Want to order dinner tonight? Chinese?" She glanced at me briefly, then back at her screen. Sure, whatever. I closed the door and went back downstairs. Sunday, Lauren went to brunch with friends. I didn't ask who, she didn't volunteer. I spent the day doing yard work, mowing, edging, trimming hedges, physical labor that let me think while my hands stayed busy. Around 4, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Stay away from me. I smiled and typed back. Or what? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. I'm calling the authorities. Go ahead, I replied. Tell them a guy stood near you in a parking lot. I'm sure they'll make it a priority. No response. I put the phone away and went back to trimming hedges. That night, Lauren came home in a good mood, humming, smiling. She poured herself wine and settled on the couch to watch some show about housewives in Atlanta. I sat in my office with the door closed, organizing my thoughts. Paul was rattled. That was clear. But rattled wasn't enough. I needed him off balance, panicked, making mistakes. Monday morning, Eric called. You went to see him, he said. Not a question. How'd you know? Because he's freaking out, asking everyone he knows if they've heard of you, trying to figure out who you are and what you want. Good. Dan, this is escalating fast. I didn't touch him. You didn't have to. You scared him. That's worse in some ways. Why? Because scared people do unpredictable things. I thought about that for a moment. Let him, I said. The more he panics, the sloppier he gets. Eric sighed heavily. I hope you know what you're doing. I do. No, he said. You don't. But you will. He hung up. Monday night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Lauren, listening to her breathe and ran scenarios through my head. What happens when she finds out I know? What happens when Paul realizes I'm serious? What happens when Andrea gets involved? There were too many variables, too many moving parts. But that was okay, because I'd learned something important over the past 2 weeks. Control is an illusion. You can't control other people. You can't control outcomes. But you can control what you do, how you respond, where you apply pressure. And right now, I was applying pressure in exactly the right places. Tuesday, I went back to Ember and Oak, not inside, across the street, same spot I'd used before. At 12:20, Lauren arrived. Same routine, same confidence. But Paul didn't show. She sat at the table for 10 minutes, checked her phone repeatedly, looked around, confused. Finally, she left. I followed her back to her car, watched her sit there for a long moment, staring at her phone before she drove away. She looked worried. I felt nothing. Wednesday, I made the call I'd been putting off. Andrea Hendricks' law firm, Whitman and Cross, professional receptionist, polite but firm. I'd like to speak with Ms. Hendricks, I said. It's regarding a personal matter. May I ask what this is in reference to? Her husband. There was a pause. Please hold. Elevator music for 30 seconds. Then a voice. Crisp, professional, no nonsense. This is Andrea Hendricks. Mrs. Hendricks, I said, and my name is Daniel Hayes. I think we should meet. Silence. Then, regarding your husband. What about him? I have information you'll want to see. What kind of information? The kind that costs a lot of money to find out later. Another pause. Longer this time. I could almost hear her thinking, calculating, deciding. Thursday, she said finally. 11 a.m., my office. Don't be late. I won't. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat back in my office chair and smiled. This was about to get very interesting. Thursday morning, I dressed carefully. Khakis, button-down shirt, sport coat, the kind of outfit that says professional but not trying too hard. Lauren was already gone when I came downstairs. Probably at the gym, or maybe not. I didn't know anymore. Didn't really care. I made coffee. Toast. Sat at the kitchen table and reviewed my notes one more time. Everything I'd gathered on Paul, everything I knew about Andrea, the timeline, the evidence, the strategy. At 10:15, I left the house and drove downtown. Whitman and Cross occupied the 7th floor of a sleek glass tower in the financial district. The kind of building where every surface gleamed and the elevator played soft jazz and everyone looked like they billed $500 an hour. The reception area was all white marble and chrome. Modern art on the walls, fresh flowers on the desk. A young woman in a sharp black suit greeted me with a practiced smile. Mr. Hayes? That's me? Ms. Hendricks is expecting you. This way, please. She led me down a long hallway, glass-walled conference rooms on either side, associates hunched over laptops, paralegals pushing carts of files. Andrea's office was at the end, corner unit, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the entire city spread out below like a map. She was standing behind her desk when I entered, tall, maybe 5'9", and slim in a way that suggested discipline rather than genetics. Early 40s, dark hair pulled back in a severe bun, charcoal gray suit. No jewelry except her wedding ring and diamond studs. Her face was angular, elegant, the kind of face that would photograph well but never look warm. She didn't offer her hand. "Sit," she said. Not rude, just efficient. I sat in one of the leather chairs across from her desk. She remained standing for a moment, studying me with eyes that felt like they could see through walls. Then she sat. "You said you have information about my husband," she said without preamble. "I do." "What kind?" I opened the folder I'd brought, pulled out the first photo. Paul and Lauren at Ember and Oak, their hands touching across the table, both of them smiling. I slid it across the desk. Andrea picked it up, looked at it. Her expression didn't change, not even a flicker. "Who is she?" she asked. "My wife." She set the photo down carefully, aligned it perfectly with the edge of the desk. "How long?" she asked. "At least 6 weeks, probably longer." She nodded slowly, like this was information she'd been expecting but had hoped wouldn't come. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because I think we want the same thing." "Which is?" "To make him pay." She leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, studied me with those sharp, calculating eyes. "Mr. Hayes, I don't know you. I don't know your motivations. I don't know what you expect from this conversation. But let me be very clear about something." She leaned forward slightly. "I don't need your help. I've been preparing for this moment for 3 years. I have documentation, evidence, a strategy. I know exactly how to dismantle my husband financially and professionally without breaking a single law." "Good," I said. "Then we'll work faster together." She smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator recognizing another predator. "I don't work with strangers." "You do now." I pulled out more documents, bank statements showing hotel charges, credit card receipts from jewelry stores, text message logs showing frequency and patterns, security camera stills from the Grandview Hotel parking garage. I spread them across her desk like playing cards. "I have proof," I said. "Dates, times, locations, financial records. Enough to support an airtight case for adultery in a separation settlement. Enough to ensure he loses significantly more than he would in a standard split." Andrea picked up each document, examined it, set it down. Her fingers moved methodically. Her face remained neutral. But I saw something change in her eyes. A spark of interest. Maybe respect. "Where did you get this?" she asked. "Does it matter?" "It does if it's not admissible in court. It's all obtained legally. Public records, credit reports, surveillance conducted in public spaces. Nothing that would be thrown out." She set down the last document and looked at me again. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing." "Nobody does this for nothing." "I do. I just want to watch him fall." She studied me for a long moment. Then she stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. "Mr. Hayes," she said without turning around, "do you know what I do here? You're an attorney, estate planning, asset protection." "I specialize in high conflict separations," she said. "I represent clients who are ending marriages where significant assets are involved and at least one party is trying to hide something. I've handled cases involving infidelity, fraud, hidden accounts, offshore holdings. I've seen every trick in the book." She turned to face me. "And I've learned something over 20 years of practice. The spouse who prepares wins. The spouse who acts emotionally loses. Always." "I'm not acting emotionally." "Aren't you?" "No." She walked back to her desk, sat down. "Fine," she said. "We'll work together, but we do this my way, legally, methodically. No shortcuts, no impulsive moves, no confrontations that could jeopardize the case." "Agreed. And when this is over, we never speak again. Deal." She extended her hand across the desk. I shook it. Her grip was firm and cold. "Welcome to the team, Mr. Hayes." That afternoon, I went back to work, spent 3 hours at a building inspection on the north side, checked fire alarms, reviewed maintenance logs, made small talk with the building manager, normal stuff, routine stuff, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. That night, Lauren came home late again. "Where were you?" I asked. "Working." She didn't even look at me. just dropped her bag on the counter and headed for the wine fridge. Until 8:30? She turned, eyes sharp. Yes, Dan, until 8:30. We have a major presentation next week. I told you this. You tell me a lot of things. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. She poured wine, drank half the glass in one go. You've been weird for weeks, she said. Weird how? Quiet, watching me, asking questions. It's creepy. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The word creepy coming from her mouth was almost too much. What's funny? She demanded. Nothing. You're right. I have been weird. So stop. Okay. She finished her wine, poured another glass, and went upstairs without another word. I sat in the kitchen alone, thinking about how we'd gotten here, how two people who'd once loved each other, or at least thought they did, could become such strangers. But maybe we'd always been strangers. Maybe I'd just been too blind to see it. Friday morning, I got a text from Andrea. Phase 1 begins Monday. Be ready. I texted back, What's Phase 1? You'll see. Friday night, Lauren went out again. Where? I asked, not because I cared, but because I wanted to see what she'd say. Out. With who? She paused at the door, turned, looked at me with something like contempt. Does it matter? Guess not. Exactly. She left. I waited an hour, then got in my car. I didn't follow her. I already knew where she was going. The Grandview Hotel, same place they always went. I parked across the street in a public lot and walked to a coffee shop with a direct view of the hotel entrance, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, sat by the window, waited. At 10:40, they came out together, Paul and Lauren. He had his arm around her waist. She was laughing at something. They stood under the awning for a moment, talking, smiling. Then he kissed her. A long, slow kiss that made me grip my coffee cup hard enough that the cardboard buckled. When they finally separated, she walked to her car. He walked to his. They drove away in different directions, back to their separate lives. I sat there for another 10 minutes, staring at nothing. Then I got up, threw away the untouched coffee, and went home. Lauren was already there when I arrived, in the kitchen, humming, making herself a snack. Hey, she said when I walked in, like she hadn't just come from another man's bed, like nothing was wrong. Hey, I said, want some cheese and crackers? No thanks. Suit yourself. I went upstairs. Took a shower, let the hot water wash over me until the tank went cold, and I thought about Monday, about Phase 1, about how everything was about to change. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. Lauren was already gone when I woke up, off to her office, or wherever she really went on Monday mornings. I made coffee, strong, dark, sat at the kitchen table and reviewed everything one more time. The plan, the timing, the players. At 10:15, my phone buzzed. Andrea, it's happening. Be at this address in 30 minutes. Don't be late. She sent a location, a restaurant called Meridian, downtown, west side, not Ember and Oak, somewhere new. I drove there carefully, parked 2 blocks away in a public garage, walked the rest of the distance. Meridian was upscale, white tablecloths, real silverware, the kind of place where entrees started at $40 and the waitstaff spoke in hushed, deferential tones. Andrea was already inside, sitting at a corner table with her back to the wall, facing the entrance. She saw me immediately. Gave a tiny nod. I walked over and sat across from her. What's the plan? I asked quietly. Simple, she said. We wait. They'll be here at 12:30. Paul doesn't know I'm aware of this location, but I've been tracking his credit card statements for 2 years. This is a new spot for them. They've been here 3 times in the past month. How do you know they're coming today? Because I know my husband's patterns better than he knows them himself. I checked my watch. 12:05. And when they arrive, we let them sit. We let them get comfortable. And then we introduce ourselves. You sure about this? She looked at me with those cold, intelligent eyes. Mr. Hayes, I've been sure about this for a very long time. We waited in silence. I ordered coffee I didn't want. Andrea had sparkling water. At 12:26, the door opened. Lauren walked in first. She was wearing a burgundy dress I'd never seen before. Fitted, elegant. Her hair was styled in loose waves. She looked beautiful. She always looked beautiful. She scanned the restaurant briefly, found the table she was expecting, and walked toward it with confidence. Paul arrived 3 minutes later. He was in a suit today. Navy, no tie, white shirt, expensive watch catching the light. He walked with that easy, entitled swagger that made me want to break things. They greeted each other at the table, a brief kiss, hands touching, familiar, comfortable. They sat down, ordered drinks, leaned in close, talking in low voices. They didn't see us. We were too far back, partially obscured by a decorative divider. "Do you still love her?" Andrea asked suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said finally. "I don't think I ever really did. Not the way I thought I did." She nodded. "Good. That makes this easier." At 12:42, I stood up. "Wait," Andrea said. "Not yet. Let them order food first. It'll be harder for them to make a scene." I sat back down. 5 minutes later, their appetizers arrived. Some kind of seafood. They were laughing about something. "Now," Andrea said. I stood. This time she didn't stop me. I walked across the restaurant slowly, each step deliberate, controlled. They didn't notice me until I was standing right next to their table. Lauren looked up first. The color drained from her face. "Dan," she said. Her voice came out strangled. Paul turned in his seat. Saw me. His expression cycled through confusion, recognition, and something close to panic. "What are you doing here?" Lauren asked. Her voice was shaking now. "Having lunch?" I said calmly. "Dan, we need to talk about this." "About what?" I interrupted. "About how you've been spending your Tuesday and Thursday afternoons? About how you've been going to hotels with this guy? About how you've been lying to me for months?" Paul cleared his throat, tried to recover his composure. "Listen, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," I said. Lauren reached for my arm. "Dan, please, not here. Let's go home and—" "No." "Dan?" "So what are you going to do about it?" Paul said suddenly. Everyone at the table froze. I turned to look at him. "What did you say?" He leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms. Some of his confidence returning now, that arrogant mask sliding back into place. "You heard me. So what are you going to do about it?" "Huh? You going to yell? Make a scene?" Lauren grabbed his arm. "Paul, don't—" "No, seriously," he continued, his voice rising slightly. "What's your big plan here, Dan? You think you can just walk in here and—" "Paul," a new voice said. We all turned. Andrea stepped out from behind the divider. She was holding her phone up, camera pointed directly at the table. She took a photo. The flash was bright even in the daylight filtering through the windows. Paul's face went white. Lauren's mouth fell open. Andrea lowered the phone, looked at Paul with an expression I can only describe as arctic. "Our lawyer will need this," she said. Her voice was perfectly calm, perfectly controlled. Then she looked at Lauren. "And yours." Paul stood up so fast his chair tipped backward. "Andrea." "Sit down, Paul. This isn't what it—" "Sit down." He sat. The entire restaurant had gone quiet. Everyone watching now. The perfect audience. Andrea turned to me. "Let's go, Mr. Hayes." We walked toward the exit together, calm, unhurried, like we'd just finished a routine business meeting. Behind us, I heard Lauren's voice, high-pitched and panicked. Dan, wait, please." I didn't wait. I didn't turn around. I didn't look back. We walked outside into the bright afternoon sunlight. Andrea stopped on the sidewalk, turned to me. "How do you feel?" she asked. I took a breath, considered the question. "Good," I said. "Really good." She smiled. A real smile this time. Small but genuine. Phase 2 starts tomorrow. I'll be in touch. She walked to her car, a silver Mercedes parked at a meter, and drove away. I stood there on the sidewalk for a moment, letting everything sink in. Then I got in my car and drove home. The house was empty when I arrived. Quiet. Peaceful. I went upstairs to our bedroom, looked around at this space Lauren and I had shared for 14 years. It didn't feel like mine anymore. It hadn't for a long time. I pulled a duffel bag from the closet and started packing. Clothes, toiletries, laptop, the essentials. I wasn't leaving, not permanently, not yet. But I was preparing for what came next. Because this, what happened today at Meridian, was just the beginning. The real reckoning was still ahead. I didn't hear from Lauren for 3 hours. 3 long hours of silence that stretched like taffy in my living room. No calls, no texts. No sound except the ticking of the clock on the mantel and the occasional creak of the house settling around me. I sat there on the couch with all the lights off, watching shadows lengthen across the hardwood floor as the afternoon sun moved across the sky. The light came through the windows at an angle, cutting the room into geometric shapes of brightness and dark. My phone sat on the coffee table in front of me, screen dark and silent, like a bomb that hadn't detonated yet. I knew she'd call eventually. Had to. The confrontation at Meridian had been too public, too explosive, too final to just let it sit without response. She'd need to explain, defend, justify. That's what people do when they're caught. They explain. At 4:15, the phone finally buzzed. The vibration was loud against the glass table, making me jump slightly even though I'd been waiting for it. Lauren. We need to talk. I stared at the message for a long moment. 3 words, simple, direct, predictable. I didn't respond immediately. Let her wait. Let her wonder if I'd even read it. Another message came through 30 seconds later. I'm coming home. Be there. Not a request, a demand. Like she still had the right to make demands. I typed back 1 word. Okay. She arrived at 5:03. I heard everything in sequence. The garage door opening with its familiar mechanical groan. Her car pulling in, the distinctive purr of the BMW engine. The engine shutting off. A moment of silence. Then her car door opening and closing. Footsteps on the tile floor. The sharp click-click of her heels echoing in the enclosed space. The door from the garage to the kitchen opened slowly. Hesitant. Like she wasn't sure what she'd find on the other side. Dan. Her voice was strained. Shaky. Higher pitched than normal. In here? I heard her set her purse down on the kitchen counter. Heard her take a breath. Then footsteps approaching through the hallway. She appeared in the living room doorway and stopped when she saw me sitting there in the semi-darkness. Why are the lights off? She asked. Didn't feel like turning them on? She stood there for a moment, silhouetted against the brighter kitchen behind her. Then she reached for the light switch. I didn't stop her. Light flooded the room, harsh and revealing. I had to squint against it. When my eyes adjusted, I got a good look at her. She looked terrible. Makeup smeared around her eyes like she'd been crying. Red nose. Mascara streaks on her cheeks. Hair disheveled, pulled half out of whatever style she'd had it in that morning. The burgundy dress she'd worn to lunch was rumpled, wrinkled at the waist like she'd been pulling at it. Her hands were shaking slightly. We need to talk, she said again. The 3rd time now. You said that already. Dan, please. I know you're angry. I'm not angry. She blinked. Confusion crossed her face. What? I'm not angry, I repeated. My voice was calm, flat, emotionless. Anger would imply I still care enough to feel something, and I don't. Her face crumpled. The careful composure she'd been trying to maintain shattered. She sank onto the couch across from me, collapsing more than sitting, like her legs had given out. How long have you known? She asked quietly, staring at her hands in her lap. Does it matter? Yes, it matters to me. I leaned back in my chair, studied her. This woman I'd been married to for 14 years. This stranger. 6 weeks, I said. Maybe 7. Started with a receipt I found in your blazer pocket. Then I started paying attention. Once you pay attention, Lauren, you see everything. All the little lies, all the inconsistencies, all the times things didn't add up. She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. She was crying now, really crying. The kind of crying that comes with gasping breaths and choked sobs. I felt nothing watching it. No sympathy, no satisfaction. Just this empty observation, like I was watching a character in a movie I had no investment in. I'm sorry, she said through her fingers. Her voice was muffled, thick with tears. I'm so sorry, Dan. I never meant for this to happen. I never meant to hurt you. For what? For the affair? Or for getting caught? She looked up, tears streaming down her face. For all of it. For hurting you. For lying. For everything. You didn't hurt me, I interrupted. You can't hurt someone who's already checked out. And I checked out of this marriage a long time ago. We both did. We've just been too comfortable, too cowardly, or too lazy to admit it. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time we had a real conversation, Lauren? Not about work or bills or whose turn it is to do laundry. A real conversation about our lives, our feelings, our future. She didn't answer, because she couldn't. Because there wasn't an answer. What happens now? She asked finally, her voice small and broken. Now? Now you move out. What? You heard me. Pack your things. Find somewhere else to stay. Dan, this is my house too. Actually, it's not. The deed is in my name, my credit, my down payment. You moved in after we got married, remember? You never contributed to the mortgage. Never wanted to. Said it was my thing to handle. Her mouth opened. Closed. She hadn't thought about that. Hadn't considered the legal reality of the situation. You can't just kick me out, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. I'm not kicking you out. I'm asking you to leave. There's a difference. You're free to refuse. We can do this the hard way, with lawyers and court orders and months of fighting. Or you can pack your things tonight and we can handle the separation like adults. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Hotel? Friend's place? Your mother's? Paul's house for all I care, though I suspect his wife might have something to say about that. She flinched at his name like I'd slapped her. His wife knows, she said quietly, staring at the floor. Yeah, she does. How did she? Because I told her. We had a very productive conversation. Multiple conversations, actually. Andrea's quite impressive. Smart, strategic, everything you're not. Lauren's head snapped up. That's cruel. That's honest. You're impulsive, Lauren. Selfish. You do what feels good in the moment without thinking about consequences. Andrea thinks 10 steps ahead. She's been planning her exit from that marriage for 3 years, documenting everything, building her case. She doesn't make moves based on emotion. She makes them based on strategy. You sound like you admire her. I do. She's earned it. We sat in silence for a long moment. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked. Somewhere outside, a dog barked. Who are you? Lauren whispered finally. The man I married would never talk to me like this. He was kind, patient, forgiving. That man was a doormat, I said, and you walked all over him for years. I'm not that man anymore. What changed? I did. You forced me to. She wiped her eyes, smearing mascara further across her cheeks. This isn't fair. Life's not fair. You taught me that. Now pack your things. I want you gone by tonight. Dan? Tonight, Lauren. I'm not negotiating. I stood up and walked past her toward the stairs. She reached out, grabbed my arm. I stopped but didn't look at her. Please, she said. Can't we at least talk about this? Work something out? There's nothing to work out. This marriage is over. It's been over for a long time. We're just making it official now. I pulled my arm free and went upstairs. Locked myself in the office. Sat at my desk and waited. I heard her moving around downstairs, opening and closing drawers, footsteps going up and down the stairs, the sounds of someone frantically packing a life into bags and boxes. 43 minutes later, I heard her car start in the garage. Heard the garage door open, heard the car back out, heard the garage door close. Silence. I went to the bedroom. Our bedroom, soon to be just my bedroom. The closet was half empty, her side completely cleared out. Hangers swinging on the rod, drawers hanging open, the contents pulled out in a hurry. Her side of the bathroom was gutted, makeup gone, toiletries gone, the toothbrush holder empty. She'd taken the essentials, left everything else. Photos still on the dresser, books still on the nightstand, decorative pillows still arranged on the bed. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked around at this room that suddenly felt enormous and empty, and I realized something. I'd been living with a ghost for years. The real Lauren, whoever she actually was beneath the image she projected, had left a long time ago. The woman I'd shared this house with for the past 2 or 3 years was just a shell, going through motions, playing a role, and I'd been doing the same thing. 2 actors in a play that had long since lost its audience. My phone buzzed. Andrea. How did it go? She's gone? Good. How are you feeling? Fine. That's not an answer. I thought about it. Relieved, I guess. Tired, empty, all of the above. That's normal. The first few days will be the hardest. Then it gets easier. How do you know? Because I went through this 20 years ago. My first marriage. He cheated. I kicked him out, spent 3 weeks crying and 2 months in therapy. But I survived. You will too. Thanks. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., my office. We need to discuss next steps. The legal proceedings. Strategy. What to expect. I'll be there. Mr. Hayes? Yeah? You did well today. Stay focused. Don't let guilt or nostalgia make you second-guess this decision. I won't. Good. She hung up. I spent the rest of the evening alone in the house. Ordered pizza from a place I liked, but Lauren always complained about. Too greasy, she'd say. Too basic. Not healthy. I ate 4 slices and didn't care about the grease or the calories or whether it was healthy. It was mine. My choice. My house. My life. Around 11, I took a shower. Long and hot. Letting the water wash away the tension of the day. When I got out, I stood in the bathroom, staring at the empty counter where Lauren's stuff used to be. The absence was loud, but it wasn't painful. It was just empty. I went to bed around midnight. lay there in the dark in a bed that felt too big without another person in it, but also cleaner somehow, like the sheets were fresher, like the air was easier to breathe. I slept through the night without waking once. The next morning, Tuesday, I woke up at 6:30, made coffee, strong, black. Sat at the kitchen table and stared out the window at the backyard as dawn broke. The grass was wet with dew. A crow landed on the fence, looked around, flew away. Everything looked the same, but everything felt different. At 8:45, I was at Andrea's office. The receptionist recognized me this time, smiled professionally like we were old friends. "Mr. Hayes, Ms. Hendricks is expecting you. Go right in." I walked down the familiar hallway to Andrea's office. The door was open. She was on the phone, pacing behind her desk, gesturing with one hand as she talked. She saw me, nodded, pointed to the chair. I sat. She wrapped up her call quickly. "Yes, file the motion today. I want it on the judge's desk by Friday. Thank you." She hung up and turned to me. "Good morning, Mr. Hayes." "Morning. Coffee?" "I'm good." She poured herself a cup from a carafe on the credenza, sat down behind her desk, studied me over the rim of her cup. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Fine. Slept well, actually." She nodded approvingly. "Good. That's a good sign. The ones who toss and turn are still emotionally invested. The ones who sleep are ready to move forward. I'm ready. Good. Because here's where we are." She pulled out a legal pad covered in notes. Her handwriting was neat, precise, architectural. "Paul came home last night, around 9. He was drunk, belligerent. We had what you might generously call a conversation. I'd call it a shouting match." "What did he say?" "He denied everything. Said the photos were taken out of context. Said your wife was just a client. Said I was being paranoid and vindictive. And what did you say?" I showed him the evidence. Photos, credit card statements, hotel receipts, text message logs, everything you provided plus everything I've been documenting for the past 3 years. Security footage from the hotel parking garage showing them arriving together in his car, testimony from a parking attendant who recognized them as regulars. And he shut up, went pale, tried to backtrack, started with "I can explain" and moved on to "it didn't mean anything," and finished with "I'll end it, I promise." "What did you do?" I told him I'd already filed for separation, that I'd frozen our joint accounts, that I'd contacted a process server who'd be delivering papers to his office within 48 hours, and that if he tried to hide assets or interfere with the proceedings, I'd make sure his business partners and clients knew exactly what kind of man they were dealing with. I couldn't help but smile. How'd he take that? Not well. He threw a glass. It shattered against the wall, screamed that I was destroying his life, that I'd regret this. Standard toxic masculinity playbook when their control is threatened. "Did he threaten you?" "He tried. I told him I'd already filed a restraining order, that any contact outside of our attorneys would be considered harassment, that I had security cameras installed throughout the house recording everything. He left after that, slammed the door hard enough to crack the frame." "Where did he go?" "Hotel, I assume. The Grand View, ironically. The same place he was using for his affair. I've hired a private investigator to monitor his movements. Make sure he's not doing anything stupid." "Like what?" "Like trying to liquidate assets, or contacting your wife to coordinate stories, or planning some kind of retaliation." "You think he'd do that?" "Men like Paul are unpredictable when they lose control. They've spent their whole lives manipulating situations to their advantage. When that stops working, they panic. And panicked men make mistakes." She leaned back in her chair, sipped her coffee. "Speaking of your wife," she said, "where is she?" "Hotel, I assume. I haven't asked." "You haven't talked to her since yesterday?" "No, and I don't plan to, unless absolutely necessary." Andrea nodded approvingly. "Good. Maintain that distance. Any communication should go through attorneys. Which reminds me, have you retained counsel yet?" "Not yet." She slid a business card across the desk. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. "Call this number. Tell them I sent you. They specialize in ending marriages. Expensive, but worth every penny. They'll make sure you're protected." I took the card. "Thanks." "Mr. Hayes, I need to be very clear about something." "What?" "What we're doing here, it's legal. Everything we've done, everything we're going to do, stays within the bounds of the law. But it's also ruthless. We're not interested in fairness or compromise. We're interested in winning." "I understand." "Do you? Because this is the point where a lot of people get cold feet. They start feeling guilty, start thinking maybe they were too harsh, start considering reconciliation. That's not going to happen." I hope that's true, because Paul is going to fight back. Your wife is going to try to negotiate. There will be moments, many moments, when backing down will seem easier than pressing forward. And that's when you have to remember why you started this in the first place. I remember. Good. She stood, extended her hand. I'll be in touch when phase 2 is complete. What's phase 2? She smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator about to pounce. Professional consequences. Paul's business depends on reputation, trust, relationships. I'm going to systematically dismantle all 3. How? By telling the truth, specifically by sharing documentation of his questionable business practices with his 3 largest clients. Nothing illegal, just unethical enough to make them nervous. Nervous clients ask questions. Questions lead to audits. Audits reveal problems. Problems lead to terminated contracts. That'll work? It always does. Men like Paul cut corners because they think they're too smart to get caught. But they always leave a trail. Always. She walked me to the door. One more thing, Mr. Hayes. Be prepared for Paul to reach out. He'll call, text, maybe show up at your house or workplace. Do not engage. Every interaction is an opportunity for him to manipulate the situation or create evidence against you. Understood. I left her office and drove to work. The normalcy of the office felt surreal. People going about their day, meetings, emails, coffee machine conversations about sports and weather and weekend plans. Meanwhile, my entire life was imploding and being rebuilt simultaneously. I sat at my desk and went through the motions, responded to contractor emails, reviewed inspection reports, scheduled maintenance checks. Around 2, my assistant knocked on the door. Dan, you okay? You seem distracted. I'm fine, Karen, just dealing with some personal stuff. Anything I can help with? No, but thanks for asking. She hesitated at the door. If you need to take some time off, let me know. We can cover for you. I appreciate that, but I'm good. Work is actually the best distraction right now. She nodded and left. Around 4, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello? Mr. Hayes, this is David Brennan. I'm an attorney representing Paul Hendricks. My stomach tightened. Here we go. What can I do for you, Mr. Brennan? My client would like to schedule a meeting with you to discuss a resolution to this situation. What situation? He sighed, impatient. Don't play games, Mr. Hayes. You know exactly what situation. My client is prepared to offer a settlement in exchange for your cooperation in keeping certain matters private. What kind of settlement? That's something we'd prefer to discuss in person, face to face. No attorneys present. Just 2 men having a frank conversation about how to move forward. I'm not interested. Mr. Hayes, tell your client he should be more worried about his wife's attorney than mine. Andrea Hendricks is 10 times the lawyer you'll ever be, and she's not interested in settlements. She's interested in justice. That's a very short-sighted. Have a good day, Mr. Brennan. I hung up. Sat there for a moment, adrenaline humming through my system. Paul was already scrambling, already trying to contain the damage, already looking for ways to buy his way out of consequences. But it wasn't going to work. Not this time. That evening, I stopped at the grocery store on the way home. Needed basics, milk, bread, coffee, things Lauren usually handled but now were my responsibility. I was in the produce section, examining tomatoes, when someone tapped my shoulder. I turned. Jenna, Lauren's friend, the yoga instructor who'd been at all those girls' nights, that probably weren't just girls' nights. Dan. Hi. She looked uncomfortable. Jenna. I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry about everything. With Lauren and Paul, I had no idea. Didn't you? She blinked. What do you mean? I mean, you were at those girls' nights. You spent time with Lauren? You really didn't notice anything? Her face flushed. I mean, I noticed she seemed distracted sometimes. But I never thought... Right. You never thought? Dan, that's not fair. Life's not fair, Jenna. That's something I'm learning. I turned back to the tomatoes. She stood there for another moment, then walked away quickly. I felt slightly guilty for being harsh, but only slightly. At home, I made dinner. Steak, baked potato, steamed broccoli. Simple, satisfying. Ate at the kitchen table with the TV off, just silence and the sound of my own chewing. After dinner, I cleaned up, loaded the dishwasher, wiped down the counters, everything in its place. Then I went to the living room and sat in the dark again. My phone buzzed, multiple times. Text messages. Paul. Dan, we need to talk. Please call me. I know you're angry, but we can work this out. Call me, please. I blocked his number. 2 minutes later, calls started coming from other numbers. Unknown. Probably Paul using different phones. I ignored all of them. Around 10, someone rang the doorbell. I checked the security camera feed on my phone. Paul, standing on my front porch, hands in his pockets, looking around nervously. I didn't answer. He rang again, knocked, called through the door. Dan, I know you're in there. Please, just 5 minutes. I sat in the dark living room and waited. He stayed for 7 minutes, knocking, calling, getting increasingly desperate. Finally, he gave up and left. I watched him get in his car and drive away. Then I called Andrea. He just came to my house, I said. Paul? Yeah. Rang the doorbell, knocked, begged me to talk to him. I didn't answer. Good. Did he threaten you? No, he was just desperate, pathetic. Perfect. That desperation will make him careless. Did you record it? The security cameras got everything. Even better, save that footage. We might need it. Already done. You're learning, Mr. Hayes. I had a good teacher. Wednesday morning, I woke up early. 6 a.m. Couldn't sleep anymore. Made coffee and sat on the back patio watching the sunrise. The sky went from black to deep blue to purple to orange to bright blue. The transition was gradual but inevitable, like my life, I thought. Gradual but inevitable change. Around 9, my phone rang. Eric. You got a minute? Yeah. What's up? Can we meet? I've got some information you should probably hear in person. When? Now, if you're free. Where? Same diner, 20 minutes. He was already there when I arrived. Coffee and toast in front of him. He'd barely touched either. I slid into the booth across from him. What's going on? I asked. I've been hearing things about Paul Hendricks. What kind of things? He's asking around about you, trying to find leverage, digging into your background, talking to people we both know, contractors, building managers, anyone who might have information. Let him dig, he won't find anything. You sure about that? I'm sure. I'm boring, Eric. I pay my taxes on time, I follow building codes, I don't cut corners, there's nothing to find. What about your personal life? Anything he could use? Old relationships? Legal issues? Debts? Nothing. My life is an open book. A very boring, very conventional open book. Eric nodded slowly. Okay. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I appreciate it. Dan? Yeah? Be careful. When men like Paul can't find ammunition, they sometimes create it. What do you mean? I mean false accusations, planted evidence, manufactured crises. He's desperate. Desperate men do desperate things. I'll be careful. You better be. That afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Local area code. Hello? Is this Daniel Hayes? Who's asking? My name is Jennifer Wu. I'm a reporter with the Metro Journal. I'm working on a story about Paul Hendricks, and I was hoping you might be willing to speak with me. My stomach dropped. How did you get this number? Public records. Mr. Hayes, I understand you were involved in the situation that led to Mr. Hendricks's recent legal troubles. I was hoping you could provide some background. I'm not interested in being part of any story. The public has a right to know. The public has a right to know about Paul's crimes. They don't have a right to know about my personal life. This conversation is over. I hung up, immediately called Andrea. There's a reporter asking questions, I said. About what? About me, about Paul, about the whole situation. They're calling it a story. Did you talk to them? No, I hung up immediately. Good, don't talk to any reporters, no comment. No confirmation, no denial. Just silence. Understood? Understood. I'll make some calls, see if I can find out who's feeding information to the press. You think it's Paul? Maybe, or his attorney, or someone else entirely. Doesn't matter. The less you say, the less they can print. That evening, I was making dinner when someone knocked on the door. Not the doorbell. The door. Aggressive knocking. Loud and insistent. I checked the camera. Paul again, but this time he looked different. Disheveled, unshaven, wild eyes, like he hadn't slept in days. I opened the door but left the security chain engaged. What do you want, Paul? I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. Please, just 5 minutes, man to man. No. Dan, please. Go home, Paul. I don't have a home. Andrea kicked me out. My business is falling apart. Your life is falling apart because of choices you made, not because of me. You destroyed everything. No, you destroyed everything. I just made sure people knew about it. His face twisted with rage. He grabbed the door, tried to push it open, The security chain held. "Let me in." "No, leave my property or I'm calling the authorities." "You self-righteous?" 30 seconds, Paul, then I call." He stared at me through the gap in the door, breathing hard, fists clenched. Then he turned and walked away. Got in his car, sat there for a minute, then drove off fast enough to leave rubber on the street. I closed the door, locked it, stood there for a moment, heart pounding. Then I called Eric. "I need you to do something for me," I said. "What?" "I need surveillance on my house. Cameras, motion sensors, alarms, the works. Paul's escalating. I need to know if he comes back." "When do you need it?" "As soon as possible." "I'll be there tomorrow morning. 7 a.m. Bring a crew." "Thanks." That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me alert. Every car passing by made me check the cameras on my phone. But nothing happened. Thursday morning, Eric showed up at 7 sharp with 2 guys from his security team. They spent the next 4 hours installing a comprehensive security system. Cameras at every entrance, motion sensors along the property line, glass break detectors on the windows, a control panel linked to my phone. "This is high-end stuff," Eric said, showing me how to use the app. "Motion detection with facial recognition, night vision, cloud backup. If anyone comes within 50 feet of your house, you'll get an alert. If they come within 20 feet, the system calls the authorities automatically." "How much do I owe you?" $3,000 for the equipment, $500 for installation, call it $3,000 total, friends and family discount. "Eric, non-negotiable. You're doing something that needs to be done. I'm happy to help." I paid him in cash. He tucked it into his jacket without counting. "You want me to stick around tonight?" he asked. "Just in case?" "No, I'll be fine." "You sure?" "I'm sure. But thanks for offering." After they left, I tested the system, walked around the property, watching myself on the camera feeds from my phone. Everything worked perfectly. That afternoon, Andrea called. "We have a problem," she said. My stomach dropped. "What kind of problem?" "Paul's filed a countersuit. He's claiming defamation, says I've been spreading false information about his business practices, says you've been harassing him." "That's insane." "It's predictable. When men like Paul can't win on the facts, they muddy the waters, make themselves look like the victim." "Can he actually win?" "No. We have documentation for everything. Photos, receipts, witnesses. His claims won't hold up, but it's going to slow things down, make everything messier, and it's going to cost both of us money in legal fees." "How much messier?" "Could take months instead of weeks, maybe longer if he keeps filing frivolous motions." "What do you need from me?" "Nothing yet. Just be prepared. He might try the same thing with you, file harassment charges, claim emotional distress, whatever his lawyer thinks might stick. Let him try. Mr. Hayes, I'm serious. Don't underestimate him. He's cornered, desperate. That makes him dangerous. Men do stupid, unpredictable things when they're desperate." "I understand." "Do you? Because one wrong move, one angry text, one threatening voicemail, one confrontation could undermine everything we've built. I'll be careful. See that you are." That evening, I was at home, making dinner. Chicken breast, rice, steamed vegetables, the same boring meal I'd made 100 times, when my phone rang. Detective Sarah Morrison, City Authorities. "Mr. Hayes?" "Speaking." "This is Detective Morrison. I need to ask you some questions about Paul Hendricks. Can you come down to the station?" My blood ran cold. "Am I being charged with something?" "No. We just need your statement for our records." "What's this about?" "I'd prefer to discuss it in person. Can you come in tomorrow morning, say 9 a.m.? "I'll be there." I hung up, stood there in my kitchen, staring at the half-cooked chicken on the stove. Paul had made his move, filed some kind of complaint, tried to flip the narrative. I called Andrea immediately. "The authorities want to talk to me," I said. "About what?" "They didn't say, but it has to be Paul. He must have filed a complaint." "What did you tell them?" "That I'd come in tomorrow at 9. Don't say anything without a lawyer present." "I don't have anything to hide." "It doesn't matter. You need representation. I'll have someone meet you there. 9 a.m., don't say a word until they arrive." The next morning, Friday, I met Andrea's attorney in the lobby of the headquarters. His name was Marcus Preston, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. "Mr. Hayes, I've been briefed on your situation. Here's how this is going to go. The detective will ask questions. You answer only what's asked. Don't volunteer information. Don't speculate. Don't try to explain or justify. Just facts. Understood?" "Understood." We went upstairs. Detective Morrison met us in a windowless interview room. Gray walls, metal table, uncomfortable chairs. She was younger than I expected. Early 30s, professional, no-nonsense demeanor. Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming in. And you are? Marcus Preston, Mr. Hayes' attorney. She nodded, pulled out a notepad. Mr. Hayes, I need to ask you some questions about your relationship with Paul Hendricks. Okay. How do you know Mr. Hendricks? He was having an affair with my wife. When did you become aware of this? About 6 weeks ago. What did you do when you found out? I documented it, gathered evidence, consulted with his wife, who was also interested in ending their marriage. Did you ever threaten Mr. Hendricks? No. Did you ever physically assault him? No. Did you ever go to his home? No. Did you ever contact his business associates or clients? No. She made notes, didn't give anything away. Mr. Hendricks claims you've been harassing him, following him, showing up at his workplace, making threatening phone calls. That's not true. Can you prove that? Marcus leaned forward. Detective, my client has security footage from his own property showing Mr. Hendricks coming to his home uninvited. Twice. He has phone logs showing Mr. Hendricks called him repeatedly, and my client blocked the number. He has text messages from Mr. Hendricks that could reasonably be interpreted as threatening. I'd be happy to provide all of this documentation. Detective Morrison looked at me, at Marcus, back at me. Send it to me, she said. All of it. I'll review it and follow up if necessary. Is my client free to go? For now. Mr. Hayes, if we need anything else, we'll be in touch. We left the station, stood in the parking lot by Marcus's car. That went well, he said. You think? Better than expected. She's skeptical of Hendricks's claims. Your documentation will seal it. But be careful going forward. One misstep and this could get complicated. I understand. Good. Andrea's office will send you my bill. He got in his car and drove away. I sat in my car for a long time, processing everything. Paul was fighting back, using every tool at his disposal, legal system, authorities, public opinion, but he was losing. I could feel it, and that made him even more dangerous. That afternoon, I was at work when I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, you need to see this. I almost deleted it. Could have been spam, could have been malicious software, could have been anything. But something made me open it. Inside was a single attached file, a PDF, password protected. There was a note in the body of the email. The password is truth. You'll want to read this. A friend. I downloaded the file, entered the password. It opened. It was a contract. Between Paul's firm, Hendricks and Associates, and a development company called Riverside Holdings. A deal worth $12 million, set to close in 8 weeks. I scanned the document, legal language, property descriptions, payment schedules. Nothing jumped out at first. Then I saw it. Page 17. Buried in the middle of a dense paragraph about payment structures. Money flowing through an offshore account. A shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. Amounts that didn't match the stated project costs. This wasn't just unethical, this was fraud. I read it again, slowly, carefully, making sure I understood what I was seeing. Then I forwarded it to Andrea immediately. My phone rang 30 seconds later. Where did you get this? Andrea's voice was sharp, urgent. Someone sent it to me, anonymously. Who? I don't know. The email address is generic. Gmail account. Could be anyone. This is big, Mr. Hayes. Bigger than the affair. Bigger than the separation. If this document is legitimate and I need to verify it, this could mean criminal charges, federal charges. We're talking fraud, money laundering, tax evasion. Good. No, not good. This changes everything. If Paul goes down for fraud, there will be investigations. Federal agents, audits, everyone associated with him will be scrutinized, including you. I didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't matter. When federal investigators start digging, everyone gets caught in the blast radius. They'll interview you, review your finances, look at your communications. Your life will be dissected. I can handle that? Can you? Because once this train leaves the station, you can't stop it. Are you absolutely sure you want to go down this road? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Paul had tried to destroy my marriage, my peace, my life, and now I had the opportunity to destroy his. Yes, I said. I'm sure. Then we do this carefully. We turn this document over to the authorities, anonymously. Let them handle the investigation. We stay out of it. Will that work? It should? as long as we're smart about it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the contract, who sent it, why send it to me, and what happened next. Around 3 a.m., I got up, made coffee, sat in the dark kitchen. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "You're welcome." I stared at it. Typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I tried calling the number. It went straight to voicemail. Generic message, no name. I sat there in the dark, drinking coffee, trying to figure out what was happening. Someone was helping me. But why? What did they gain? The answer came Saturday morning. Andrea called at 8 a.m. "I know who sent you the contract," she said. "Who?" "Robert Cheneau, Paul's business partner." "Why would he do that?" "Because he's trying to save himself. The FBI is already investigating Hendricks and Associates," Chenault found out. "He's trying to distance himself from Paul before the whole thing collapses. Sending you that contract was his way of accelerating Paul's downfall while keeping his own hands clean." "So he used us?" "Yes, he used us. But does it matter? We got what we wanted. Paul's going down. Cheneau gets to walk away clean. Everyone wins except Paul." "Doesn't it bother you that we were manipulated?" "No, because manipulation only works if you don't benefit from it. We benefited. Paul didn't. That's all that matters." I wasn't sure I agreed, but I didn't argue. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we wait. The FBI will move when they're ready. Could be days, could be weeks, but they'll move. And when they do, Paul Hendricks will face federal charges. His business will be dismantled. His assets will be seized, and his life as he knows it will be over." "Good. Mr. Hayes?" "Yeah? Are you okay with this? With how far this has gone?" I thought about it. "Yeah," I said. "I am." Monday morning, the world exploded. I was at work, sitting at my desk, reviewing contractor bids for an upcoming renovation project when my phone started buzzing. Not just one notification, multiple. Rapid fire, like a machine gun, text messages, news alerts, emails, all at once. I picked up the phone. FBI raids local real estate firm. Paul Hendricks arrested on federal charges. Prominent businessman accused of fraud, money laundering. My hands started shaking. I clicked on the first article, started reading. Federal agents raided the offices of Hendricks and Associates this morning, seizing computers, financial records, and documents related to an ongoing investigation into alleged fraud and money laundering. Paul Hendricks, 46, principal of the firm, was arrested at his residence and is currently in federal custody. Charges include wire fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. If convicted, Hendricks faces up to 20 years in federal prison. I kept reading. The article mentioned Riverside Holdings, offshore accounts, shell companies, falsified documents, everything that had been in the contract sent to me. My phone rang. "Andrea." "Are you seeing this?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm seeing it." "This is bigger than we thought, much bigger. The FBI's been investigating for months. Our document just accelerated their timeline." "How do you know?" "Because a federal agent just called me. They want to interview both of us, as witnesses." "When?" "This week. I'm meeting with them Wednesday. They want to see you Thursday." "What do I tell them?" "The truth. You received an anonymous document. You forwarded it to me. I contacted the appropriate authorities. That's it. Don't speculate about who sent it or why. Just stick to the facts." "Okay. Dan?" "Yeah?" "This is good news. Paul's not just losing his marriage and his business. He's going to prison. Real prison. Federal prison." I should have felt satisfied, vindicated, triumphant. But I felt nothing. Just this strange emptiness. Like I'd been working towards something for so long that now that it was here, I didn't know what to do with it. "You still there?" Andrea asked. "Yeah, I'm here." "Are you okay?" "I don't know." "That's normal. This is a lot to process. Take some time. We'll talk after the FBI interviews." She hung up. I sat at my desk for a long time, staring at nothing. My phone kept buzzing. More alerts, more messages. One was from Lauren. "Did you do this?" I typed back, "No. Paul did this to himself." "They're saying he could go to prison for 20 years. "Yeah, I heard." "Dan, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know about any of this. The fraud, the money laundering. I thought he was just a successful businessman." "Doesn't change anything, Lauren." "I know. I just wanted you to know." I didn't respond. That afternoon, my office phone rang. Outside line. "Daniel Hayes." Mr. Hayes, this is Agent Rebecca Frost with the FBI. I need to schedule a time to speak with you regarding Paul Hendricks and Hendricks and Associates. When? Thursday, 2 p.m. Can you come to our field office downtown? Yes. Good. Bring any documentation related to Mr. Hendricks, emails, text messages, financial records, anything you have. I will. Mr. Hayes, you're not in any trouble. We just need your statement. Understood? Understood. She hung up. I sat back in my chair, closed my eyes, tried to process everything. That this had started as simple revenge, exposing an affair, ending a marriage, making someone face consequences. Now it had spiraled into federal investigations, criminal charges, prison time. I hadn't planned this, hadn't wanted it to go this far. But here we were. Tuesday was quieter. The initial media frenzy died down. Paul made bail, $500,000, posted by his attorney. But he was under house arrest, ankle monitor, pending trial. I got updates from Andrea throughout the day. Paul's business partner is cooperating with the FBI. Paul's attorney is talking about a plea deal. Andrea's separation is moving forward unopposed. Paul's too busy with federal charges to fight it. Everything was happening fast. Too fast. Like an avalanche that started small but grew with every second. Wednesday afternoon, I was at a building inspection on the south side when Eric called. You busy? Not really. What's up? Can you meet me? Same place, 1 hour? Everything okay? Just need to talk. Face to face. I met him at the diner. He was already there, sitting in our usual booth, staring into a coffee cup like it held answers to questions he hadn't asked yet. I slid in across from him. What's going on? I asked. I've been hearing things about Paul. What kind of things? He's making noise, blaming you, says you set him up, says you planted evidence. That's not true. I know it's not true, but he's desperate, and desperate men say desperate things. Some people might believe him. Let them. I have documentation for everything. Timelines, witnesses, security footage. That might not matter if he convinces the wrong people. What are you saying, Eric? He looked up at me. His expression was serious, concerned. I'm saying watch your back. Paul's out on bail. He's wearing a monitor, but that doesn't mean he can't make phone calls, can't talk to people, can't set things in motion. You think he'd come after me? I think he's got nothing left to lose. His business is gone. His marriage is over. He's facing 20 years in federal prison. What does he have to gain by playing by the rules? I sat back. Processed that. What do you suggest? Vary your routine. Don't go to the same places at the same times. Keep your security system armed. And if you see anything suspicious, anything at all, call me immediately. You're scaring me a little. Good. You should be scared. A little healthy fear keeps you alert. That night, I took Eric's advice. Instead of going straight home, I drove around for an hour. Took random turns. Made sure no one was following me. When I finally got home, I parked in the garage and checked every camera feed before going inside. Everything was clear, but I still felt uneasy. Thursday afternoon, I went to the FBI field office. The building was modern, glass and steel, security checkpoints, ID badges, everything official and intimidating. Agent Frost met me in the lobby, early 40s, professional, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming in. Follow me. She led me to an interview room, similar to the one at the local station, but cleaner, newer. Another agent was already there, male, older. Introduced himself as Agent Mitchell. Mr. Hayes, we appreciate your cooperation, Agent Frost said. This shouldn't take long. We just need to clarify a few things. Okay. How did you first become aware of Paul Hendricks? He was having an affair with my wife. When did you become aware of this? About 2 months ago. What did you do? I documented it. Gathered evidence, photos, receipts, timelines. Why? Because I was considering ending my marriage and I wanted documentation for the legal proceedings. Did you ever share this information with anyone else? Yes. Andrea Hendricks, Paul's wife. She was also interested in ending her marriage. Did you ever contact Paul Hendricks directly? He contacted me, multiple times. I blocked his number after the third call. Did he threaten you? He tried to intimidate me, showed up at my house twice. The second time, I told him to leave or I'd call the authorities. Agent Mitchell leaned forward. Mr. Hayes, we need to ask you about a specific document, a contract between Hendricks and Associates and Riverside Holdings. Do you know anything about that? I received it via email, anonymous sender. I forwarded it to Andrea Hendricks' attorney. That's all I know. You didn't know what was in the document before you forwarded it? I read it, saw what appeared to be fraudulent financial structures, realized it was serious, sent it to someone who would know what to do with it. Why not come directly to us? Because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial expert. I didn't know if what I was seeing was actually illegal or just unethical. I forwarded it to someone who would know the difference. They asked more questions, timelines, details, specifics. I answered everything honestly. After 90 minutes, Agent Frost closed her notebook. That's all we need for now, Mr. Hayes. You've been very helpful. We may contact you again as the investigation progresses. Am I in any trouble? No, you did nothing wrong. You reported suspected criminal activity. That's exactly what citizens should do. What happens now? Now we build our case. Paul Hendricks is facing serious charges. Multiple counts of fraud, money laundering, tax evasion. If convicted, he's looking at significant prison time. How long? 15 to 20 years. Possibly more, depending on what else we find. I nodded, stood up, shook their hands. Mr. Hayes, Agent Frost said as I reached the door. Yeah? Between you and me, Paul Hendricks was a bad guy. He hurt a lot of people. You did the right thing. Thanks. I left the building and drove home. Sat in my driveway for 10 minutes, engine off, just thinking. This wasn't what I'd planned. Wasn't what I'd wanted. I'd wanted revenge. Wanted consequences. Wanted Paul to understand what it felt like to lose everything. But I hadn't wanted this. Hadn't wanted federal charges and decades in prison. Except, maybe I had. Maybe some part of me knew it would go this far. Maybe some part of me wanted it to. And that thought scared me more than anything Paul could do. Friday morning, I got a call from Andrea. It's happening, she said. What is? Paul's taking a plea deal. His attorney contacted the prosecutor this morning. He's pleading guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. How reduced? 5 years. Minimum security. Eligible for parole after 3. That's it? That's the deal. The FBI gets their conviction. Paul avoids a lengthy trial. Everyone wins except Paul's victims. That doesn't seem fair. It's not, but it's how the system works. The prosecutors want the win. Paul wants to minimize damage. This is the compromise. When will it be official? Sentencing hearing is in 3 weeks. After that, he'll be transferred to federal prison. And that, Mr. Hayes, will be the end of Paul Hendricks. I should have felt satisfied. I didn't. I just felt tired. That afternoon, I got a text from Lauren. I'm leaving for Columbus tomorrow. Just wanted you to know. I won't bother you anymore. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, Good luck, Lauren. I mean that. Thank you for everything, even though I don't deserve it. Everyone deserves a chance to start over. Even Paul? I thought about that. I don't know. Maybe. But he made choices that took that option away. We all made choices, Dan. Some of us just got caught. Yeah, I guess that's true. Goodbye, Dan. Goodbye, Lauren. And that was it. 14 years of marriage. Over, done, finished. Saturday, I spent the day cleaning, really cleaning. Every room, every corner, every surface. Getting rid of the last physical remnants of my marriage. Photos went into boxes. Wedding album into the attic. Gifts from Lauren's family donated to charity. By evening, the house looked different, cleaner, emptier, but also somehow fuller. Like it had room to breathe now. Sunday morning, I woke up to an email from Andrea. Separation finalized. Paul signed everything. House, assets, custody, all done. I'm officially free. I wrote back, Congratulations. You earned it. So did you. Your ending the marriage should be final in about 8 weeks. Lauren's attorney isn't contesting anything. Good. Dan? Yeah? Thank you for everything. I couldn't have done this without you. You would have found a way. Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to. Sunday afternoon, I was sitting on the back patio when I realized something. The twist wasn't that Paul was guilty. He'd been guilty all along. The twist wasn't that Robert Cheneau had manipulated us. We'd figured that out. The twist was simpler, more profound. The twist was that I'd become exactly what I'd set out to destroy. I'd lied, manipulated, schemed, plotted revenge. I'd justified it as justice, as consequences, as holding someone accountable. But in the process, I'd lost something. Some part of myself that used to believe in fairness and compassion and forgiveness. I'd won. But I'd also lost. And I wasn't sure which mattered more. Monday morning, I went to work expecting normalcy. Instead, I walked into whispers. People looked at me differently now. Some with sympathy, some with curiosity, some with something that looked like fear. I'd become that guy. The guy whose wife cheated. The guy who took down a prominent businessman. The guy who was somehow connected to federal investigations and criminal charges. I hated it. Around 10, my boss called me into his office. Michael Patterson, 58. Been with the company 30 years. Fair, reasonable, professional. Dan, sit down. I sat. How are you doing? He asked. I'm fine. Really? Really. He studied me for a moment. I've been hearing things about your personal situation, about Paul Hendricks, about the FBI. What kind of things? That you were instrumental in his arrest, that you provided evidence, that you've been working with federal agents. Some of that's true. I reported evidence of criminal activity, that's all. And the affair? With your wife? That's personal, Mike. I'd prefer not to discuss it at work. He nodded. I understand, and I respect that. But I need to know, is any of this going to affect your work, your ability to do your job? No? You're sure? I'm sure. If anything, work is the one thing keeping me sane right now. He leaned back in his chair. Okay, I believe you. But I need to tell you something. There are rumors going around, people talking. Some of the contractors are uncomfortable. They're worried about doing business with someone who's connected to federal investigations. I'm not connected to anything. I witnessed evidence of a crime and reported it. I know that. You know that. But perception matters in this business, and right now, the perception is that you're involved in something messy. What are you saying? I'm saying be careful. Keep your head down, do your work. Don't give people anything else to talk about. That's it? That's it. You're good at your job, Dan. I don't want to lose you, but I need you to be aware of the optics. I left his office feeling hollowed out. This was the collateral damage Andrea had warned me about. The ripple effects that spread outward from the epicenter of destruction. I wasn't just the guy whose wife cheated anymore. I was the guy connected to criminal investigations, the guy with a target on his back, the guy people whispered about in break rooms. That afternoon, I went to lunch at a sandwich shop I'd been going to for years. The woman behind the counter recognized me, always did. We'd chit-chat about weather, sports, whatever. Today, she just took my order. No small talk, no smile, just transaction and move on. I sat in the corner, eating my sandwich, feeling eyes on me. 2 women at a nearby table were talking, not quietly. That's him. That's the guy. The one whose wife was with Paul Hendricks? Yeah, can you imagine? How embarrassing. I heard he's the reason Hendricks got arrested. Really? That's what people are saying. I finished my sandwich quickly and left. Tuesday, I got a call from Lauren's mother again. Margaret, still angry, still protective. Dan, we need to talk about the house. What about it? Lauren should get half. It's only fair. The house is in my name. The mortgage is in my name. Lauren never contributed financially. She contributed in other ways. She made it a home. Margaret, this is between me and Lauren, and my attorney. You don't need to be involved. She's my daughter. And she made choices that led to this situation. I'm being fair. She's getting half of our savings. She's getting her car. She's getting everything that's reasonable, but she's not getting the house. You're punishing her. No. I'm protecting myself. I hung up before she could respond. Wednesday, I ran into Robert Cheneau again. Not planned, just coincidence. I was at a coffee shop downtown, waiting for my order, when he walked in. He saw me, hesitated, then walked over. Dan. Robert. Can we talk? Just for a minute? I don't think we have anything to say to each other. Please, I owe you an explanation. Against my better judgment, I nodded. We sat at a table in the corner, away from other people. I want you to know, he said, that I never meant for things to go this far. Didn't you? No. I just wanted Paul out of the business. I knew he was cutting corners. I knew he was doing things that could get us both in trouble. I tried to talk to him, tried to get him to stop. He wouldn't listen. So you sent me that contract. Yes. Why me? Because Andrea was already going after him for the affair. Because you had standing. Because I knew you'd do something with it. You used me. Yes, I used you. And I'm sorry. But I was trying to save my business, my reputation, everything I've built over 20 years. And you did? Congratulations. He looked down at his hands. It doesn't feel like a victory. That's because it's not. You threw your business partner to the wolves to save yourself. That's not victory, that's survival. And survival isn't the same as integrity. I know. Do you? Because, from where I'm sitting, you're just as bad as Paul. You're just smarter about hiding it. His jaw tightened. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? My life got turned upside down because of you. Because you decided to use me as a weapon against Paul. I lost my marriage, my privacy, my reputation, all so you could walk away clean. I'll make it right. There's nothing you can do to make it right. The damage is done. I stood up to leave. Dan, wait. I stopped. Didn't turn around. For what it's worth, he said quietly, Paul deserved what happened to him. He was hurting people, cheating clients, breaking laws. Someone needed to stop him. Maybe, but that someone shouldn't have been me. I walked out. Thursday, I went to the grocery store after work. Same place I'd been going for years. Familiar, routine. In the produce section, picking out apples when I heard my name. Dan Hayes? I turned. A man I didn't recognize. Late 40s, business casual, smiling in a way that didn't reach his eyes. Yes? I'm Brad Kellerman. I work for the Metro Journal. I was hoping I could ask you a few questions about Paul Hendricks. No comment. I understand you were instrumental in... No comment. The public has a right to know. The public has a right to know about Paul's crimes. They don't have a right to know about my personal life. Please leave me alone. I walked away. He followed. Mr. Hayes, just 5 minutes. I stopped, turned, got close enough that he took a step back. I said no comment. If you follow me or contact me again, I'll file a harassment complaint. Understood? He held up his hands. Okay, I got it. I finished my shopping quickly and left. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for a moment, hands shaking. This was my life now. Reporters, questions, whispers, eyes following me everywhere. I'd wanted consequences for Paul. I hadn't realized I'd face consequences too. Friday afternoon, I got a text from Eric. Heard you had a run-in with a reporter. News travels fast. Small town, big mouth. You okay? Yeah, just tired of all this. Want to grab a drink? Take your mind off things? Sure, where? O'Malley's, 6 o'clock. I met him at the bar. Irish pub, dark wood, good beer, quiet on weeknights. We grabbed a booth in the back. How you holding up? He asked after the first round arrived. I don't know. Some days I'm fine. Some days I feel like I'm drowning. That's normal. You've been through a lot. Have I? Or did I do it to myself? What do you mean? I mean, maybe I pushed too hard, went too far. Maybe if I just walked away from the beginning, none of this would have happened. You think Lauren and Paul would have just stopped on their own? No, but at least it wouldn't have been my problem anymore. Dan, listen to me. You did the right thing. Paul was breaking laws, hurting people. Someone needed to stop him. But did it have to be me? Who else would it have been? I didn't have an answer for that. We drank in silence for a while. Can I ask you something? I said finally. Sure. Do you think I'm a good person? Eric looked at me for a long moment. I think you're a person who did what they thought was right. Sometimes that makes you good. Sometimes it just makes you human. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I've got. We finished our drinks, ordered another round. You want to know what I think? Eric said. What? I think you're too hard on yourself. You're not perfect. Nobody is. But you're trying to do the right thing in a messy situation. That counts for something. Does it? Yeah, it does. Saturday, I woke up with a mild headache from the drinks with Eric. Made coffee, sat on the back patio, watched birds. My phone buzzed. Text from Andrea. Sentencing hearing moved up. This Wednesday. It'll all be over soon. I wrote back. Good. How are you doing? Fine. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I've got. She didn't respond after that. Sunday, I drove out to the lake. Same place I'd gone before. Quiet, peaceful. Walked along the shore, skipped rocks, sat on a bench and watched the water. A family was having a picnic nearby. Parents, 2 kids, dog, laughing and playing and enjoying the afternoon. I watched them and felt a pang of something. Not quite envy, not quite regret, just this awareness of a different life. A life I could have had if things had been different. If Lauren and I had wanted kids, if we'd stayed connected, if we'd tried harder, but we hadn't. And this was the result. I drove home as the sun set. Orange and purple and pink across the sky. Beautiful and sad at the same time. Monday morning, I went to work early. 6 a.m. before anyone else arrived. Sat at my desk and went through emails, scheduled inspections, reviewed contracts, normal work, normal tasks. But everything felt off, like I was going through motions without purpose. Around 9, my assistant knocked. Dan, you okay? Yeah, why? You've been here since 6. That's not normal. Just catching up. On what? You're already caught up. You're always caught up. I looked at her, Karen, mid-30s, married, 2 kids, normal life. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. Do people talk about me around the office? She hesitated. Sometimes. What do they say? Dan, I want to know. She sighed, came in, closed the door, sat down. They say you're going through a rough time, that your wife cheated, that you were involved in some big investigation. Some people feel bad for you. Some people think you're a hero for standing up to Paul Hendricks. Some people think you should have just walked away. What do you think? I think you're a good guy who got dealt a bad hand, and you're handling it the best you can. Thanks, Karen. You're welcome. Now go home, get some rest. You look exhausted. I'm fine. Dan, go home. I went home. Tuesday, I spent the day at the house, cleaning, organizing, trying to keep busy. Around 3, someone knocked on the door. I checked the camera, didn't recognize them. Young woman, professional clothes, carrying a folder. I opened the door. Can I help you? Daniel Hayes? Yes? I'm Jennifer Wu, Metro Journal. I was hoping I could ask you some questions about... No. I just need 5 minutes. I said no. Mr. Hayes, the public has a right... The public has no right to my personal life. Leave my property or I'm calling the authorities. She held up her hands. Okay, I understand. But if you change your mind, here's my card. She left it on the porch and walked away. I let the card sit there for an hour before finally picking it up and throwing it in the trash. That evening, Andrea called. Tomorrow's the big day, she said. I know. Are you going to the hearing? I don't know. Should I? That's up to you, but I'll be there. Might be good to have a friendly face. I'll think about it. Dan? Yeah? However this ends, you should be proud. You stood up when most people would have walked away. Thanks, Andrea. See you tomorrow, maybe. Wednesday morning, I woke up at 5. Couldn't sleep, made coffee, sat in the dark kitchen, debated. Go to the hearing or don't go. See Paul one last time or walk away clean. At 8, I made a decision. I went. The federal courthouse was downtown, modern building, marble steps, security checkpoints. I arrived at 9:30. The hearing was scheduled for 10. Andrea was already there, standing in the hallway. Sharp suit, perfect hair, professional as always. You came, she said. Yeah. How are you feeling? Nervous. That's normal. We waited. Other people filtered in, lawyers, reporters, a few people I didn't recognize. At 9:50, the doors opened. We filed into the courtroom. It was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, American flag, judge's bench elevated at the front. Paul was already there, sitting at the defense table with his attorney, wearing a suit, hair neat, clean-shaven. But he looked diminished somehow, smaller, like the weight of everything had physically compressed him. He didn't look at me, kept his eyes forward. Andrea and I sat in the gallery, 3rd row, good view of everything. At 10 sharp, the bailiff called the room to order. All rise. The Honorable Judge Patricia Knowles presiding. Everyone stood. The judge entered. Older woman, gray hair, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. Please be seated. We sat. We're here today for sentencing in the matter of United States versus Paul Hendricks. Mr. Hendricks has entered guilty pleas to multiple counts of wire fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. Before I impose sentence, does the government wish to make a statement? The prosecutor stood. Young guy, mid-30s, federal public servant type. Yes, Your Honor. The government wishes to emphasize the severity of Mr. Hendricks's crimes. Over a period of 3 years, he systematically defrauded clients, laundered money through offshore accounts, and evaded hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. His actions harmed numerous victims and undermined the integrity of our financial system. Thank you. Does the defense wish to make a statement? Paul's attorney stood. Older, expensive suit, practiced gravitas. Yes, Your Honor. My client deeply regrets his actions. He takes full responsibility. He's cooperating with authorities, providing information about other individuals involved in the scheme. He asks for leniency so he can eventually rebuild his life and make amends to those he's harmed. Mr. Hendricks, please stand. Paul stood, slowly, like it took effort. Do you have anything to say before I impose sentence? Paul cleared his throat. His voice came out quiet, strained. Your Honor, I made terrible mistakes. I let greed and ambition cloud my judgment. I hurt people who trusted me. I betrayed my family, my business partners, my community. I accept full responsibility. I ask for mercy, not because I deserve it, but because I hope to someday make things right. The judge looked at him for a long moment. Mr. Hendricks, I've reviewed your case extensively. The evidence against you is overwhelming. You engaged in a systematic pattern of fraud spanning years. You showed no remorse until you were caught. Your cooperation with authorities, while noted, appears motivated by self-interest rather than genuine repentance. Paul's shoulders slumped. However, the judge continued, I've also considered the plea agreement negotiated between your attorney and the government. Taking everything into account, I hereby sentence you to 5 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. You'll pay restitution in the amount of $2 million to your victims. You're ordered to surrender yourself to federal custody within 30 days. She banged the gavel. Court is adjourned. Everyone stood. Paul turned to his attorney. They spoke quietly. Paul's face was ashen. Then Paul turned and looked directly at me. Our eyes met across the courtroom. I saw everything in that look. Rage, blame, defeat, resignation. He mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I could read his lips. This is your fault. I didn't respond, just held his gaze until he looked away. Andrea touched my arm. Let's go. We left the courtroom, walked through the hallway, down the marble steps, into the bright morning sunlight. Reporters were waiting, cameras, microphones, questions shouted over each other. Mr. Hayes, how do you feel about the sentence? Do you think justice was served? What's next for you? I kept walking, didn't answer. Andrea did the same. We got to the parking lot, stopped by my car. How are you feeling? She asked. I don't know. Empty, I guess. That's normal. You expected to feel satisfied, vindicated, but revenge doesn't work that way. What do you mean? I mean, revenge is like fast food. Looks good, smells good, but when you're done eating, you just feel sick. I laughed. Couldn't help it. That's a weird analogy, but accurate. We stood there for a moment. Two people who'd been through something together but would probably never see each other again. What happens now? I asked. Now we move on. I'm relocating to Boston next week. New job, new city, fresh start. Good for you. What about you? I don't know yet. She extended her hand. Good luck, Dan Hayes. You're a better man than you think you are. I shook her hand. Thanks, Andrea. You're pretty impressive yourself. She smiled, got in her car, drove away. I stood in the parking lot for a long time, watching traffic, thinking about everything that had happened. Then I got in my car and went home. That afternoon, I was sitting on the back patio when my phone rang. Unknown number. Local area code. Hello? Dan. Paul's voice. Tight. Angry. Controlled. How did you get this number? It doesn't matter. I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. Yes, we do. You destroyed my life. No, Paul, you destroyed your own life. I just made sure people knew about it. You set me up. I reported evidence of crimes you committed. That's not setting you up. That's called accountability. You're hiding behind that word. Accountability. But we both know what this really was. Revenge. Maybe. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. Because I'm going to prison for 5 years while you walk away clean. I'm not clean, Paul. My marriage is over. My reputation is damaged. People look at me differently. I wake up every day feeling like I've lost something I can't get back. So no, I didn't walk away clean. He was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry, he said finally. About your wife. About the affair. I shouldn't have done that. You're right, you shouldn't have. But you didn't have to destroy everything. Yes, I did. Because men like you never face consequences unless someone forces them to. Men like me? Yeah, men who think rules don't apply to them. Men who take whatever they want and assume there won't be repercussions. Men who hurt people and walk away without a second thought. That's not fair. Life's not fair, Paul. You taught me that. Another silence. I'm going to prison, he said quietly. 5 years. Do you know what that's like? No, and I don't care. Dan, we're done here, Paul. Don't call again. I hung up. Blocked the number. Sat there on the patio, heart pounding, adrenaline surging. That was it. The final confrontation, the last conversation we'd ever have, and it felt anticlimactic. I'd expected satisfaction, closure, something, but there was just emptiness. That evening, Eric called. Heard about the sentencing. 5 years. How are you feeling? Honestly, I don't know. Want company? Yeah, that'd be good. He came over an hour later, brought pizza and beer. We sat in my living room and ate and talked about nothing important. Sports, movies, work, normal conversation, normal friendship. Around midnight, he stood to leave. You gonna be okay? He asked. Yeah, I think so. You did the right thing, Dan. Don't let anyone tell you different. Thanks, Eric. After he left, I locked up the house, checked all the cameras, armed the security system. Then I went to bed and slept through the night without dreams. Thursday morning, I woke up feeling different. Lighter somehow, like a weight I'd been carrying for months had finally been lifted. Paul was sentenced, Lauren was gone, Andrea was moving on. All the main players in this drama had exited stage left, and I was still standing. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, watching the sunrise through the window. First day of the rest of my life, such a cliche, but also true. Around 9, my phone rang. Detective Morrison. Mr. Hayes, just wanted to give you a final update. What's that? Paul Hendricks surrendered to federal custody this morning. He's been transferred to the processing facility. He'll be moved to his permanent location within a few weeks. Okay. I also wanted to let you know, the harassment complaint he filed against you has been officially dropped. The prosecutor reviewed all the evidence and determined there was no merit to his claims. Good to know. Take care, Mr. Hayes. And for what it's worth, I think you handled a difficult situation with a lot of integrity. Thanks, Detective. She hung up. I sat there for a moment, processing that. It was really over. Officially, legally, completely. No more investigations, no more court dates, no more waiting for the other shoe to drop. Just life. Regular, boring, normal life. That afternoon, I went to the lawyer's office to sign the final ending the marriage papers. My attorney was a woman named Patricia Collins, mid-50s, professional, efficient. Everything's in order, she said, sliding a stack of papers across her desk. Lauren's attorney has already signed. Once you sign, I'll file with the court. Should be finalized within 60 days. I read through the documents. Property division, asset split, debt allocation, everything fair, everything reasonable, no fighting, no drama, just two people agreeing to end something that should have ended years ago. I signed. That's it? I asked. That's it. You're officially separated. In 60 days, you'll be legally single. How should I feel about that? She smiled. However you want to feel. There's no wrong answer. I left her office and drove home. Sat in my driveway for 10 minutes, staring at the house. My house, not ours. Mine. It still felt strange, but also right. Friday, I took the day off work. First personal day I'd taken in months. Spent the morning at the hardware store, bought paint, brushes, supplies, spent the afternoon repainting the bedroom. That beige Lauren had insisted on, gone, replaced with a light gray that felt clean and modern and entirely my choice. By evening, the room looked completely different, fresh, new, mine. I stood in the doorway, admiring my work, and felt something close to pride. Saturday morning, I woke up to a text from Lauren's mother. Lauren told me you finalized the paperwork. Thank you for being fair. I know this wasn't easy. I wrote back, tell her I wish her well in Columbus. I will. Take care, Dan. You too, Margaret. Saturday afternoon, I was at the grocery store when I ran into someone from my past. Rachel Connor. We'd dated briefly in college, before Lauren. Hadn't seen her in probably 15 years. Dan Hayes, she said, smiling. Oh my gosh, how are you? Rachel, wow, I'm good. How are you? Great. I just moved back to the city. Took a job at the hospital, pediatric nurse. That's great. We chatted for a few minutes. Caught up. She asked about my life. I gave her the abbreviated version. Married, separated, moving on. I'm sorry, she said. That sounds rough. It was, but I'm doing better now. Good. Hey, if you ever want to grab coffee and catch up properly, let me know. Yeah, I'd like that. We exchanged numbers, promised to text. As I drove home, I thought about that interaction. First time in months someone had talked to me like a normal person. Not the guy whose wife cheated, not the guy connected to federal investigations, just Dan. It felt good. Sunday, I went to the neighborhood barbecue Vanessa had invited me to. I almost bailed, came up with excuses. Didn't feel like being social. But then I thought, what's the alternative? Sitting at home alone? So I went. The barbecue was in full swing when I arrived. Kids running around, adults drinking beer, music playing, food cooking on grills, normal, wholesome. Exactly what I needed. Vanessa saw me and waved. Dan, you made it. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. She introduced me to people, neighbors I'd never met even though we lived on the same street. Tom and Julie, Kevin and Sandra, the Johnsons, the Patels. Everyone was friendly, normal. No one asked about my personal life. No one whispered. Just regular people being regular people. I ate too much. Drank a few beers, played cornhole with someone's teenage son, laughed at bad jokes. Around sunset, I found myself sitting in a lawn chair next to an older man named Frank, retired teacher, lived 2 houses down from me. First time at one of these? He asked. Yeah, I've been dealing with some personal stuff. Haven't been very social. I heard. Rough year for you. Yeah. For what it's worth, he said, you look like you're doing all right now. I'm getting there. That's all anyone can do. Get there. One day at a time. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset, listening to the sounds of people enjoying themselves. And I realized something. This was healing, not revenge, not justice, not closure, just regular human connection, community, belonging. This was what I'd been missing. Monday morning, I went back to work feeling refreshed. My assistant noticed immediately. You look different, Karen said. Different how? I don't know. Lighter? Less stressed? I feel lighter. Good. It's nice to see you smile again. That afternoon, I got an email from Andrea. Settled in Boston. New office, new apartment, new life. How are you doing? I wrote back, good, really good actually. Feels like things are finally moving forward. I'm glad. You deserve happiness, Dan. Don't forget that. Thanks, you too. Tuesday, I called Rachel, the woman from the grocery store. Hey, it's Dan from Saturday. Oh, hi, I was hoping you'd call. Want to grab that coffee, catch up? I'd love to. Tomorrow afternoon? There's a great place near the hospital. Perfect. Text me the address. We met Wednesday at 3, coffee shop, cozy, quiet. We talked for 2 hours, about life, work, the past, the future. She told me about her marriage that ended 5 years ago. Amicable but sad. No kids. Just grew apart. I told her about Lauren, the affair, the ending the marriage, the whole messy story. She listened without judgment, asked good questions, offered no platitudes. When we parted, she hugged me. Thanks for being honest, she said. That takes courage. Thanks for listening. Want to do this again? Maybe dinner next time? Yeah, I'd like that. I drove home feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Thursday, I got a letter in the mail. Return address, Federal Correctional Institution, Terre Haute, Indiana. Paul. I stared at the envelope for a long time, debated throwing it away unopened, but curiosity won. I opened it. Inside was a single handwritten page. Dan, I'm writing this from my cell. I've been here 3 days. It's everything you'd imagine and worse. I'm not writing to blame you. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know something. You were right. I spent my whole life taking shortcuts, bending rules, believing consequences were for other people. I thought I was smarter than everyone else, thought I could get away with anything. I was wrong. I lost everything, my business, my family, my freedom, and I have no one to blame but myself. I know you won't believe this, but I am sorry. Sorry for the affair, sorry for hurting you, sorry for being the kind of man who thinks he can take whatever he wants. You taught me that actions have consequences. It's a lesson I should have learned 30 years ago. But better late than never. I hope you find happiness. I hope your life gets better. You deserve it more than I ever did. Paul. I read the letter twice, then folded it, put it back in the envelope, walked to the kitchen, held it over the trash can, paused, then I put it in a drawer instead. Not because I forgave him, not because I wanted to remember, but because someday, years from now, I might need a reminder of how I got here. Friday, I finalized my budget for the house renovations. New paint, new furniture, updates to the kitchen and bathrooms, nothing extravagant, just making the space mine. I scheduled contractors, set timelines, made plans. For the first time in months, I was thinking about the future instead of dwelling on the past. Saturday, I went fishing with Eric and his friends again. Caught nothing, didn't care. Just enjoyed the water and the quiet and the company. You seem good, Eric said on the drive home. I am good. What changed? I don't know. Maybe I just decided to let it go. Let all of it go. The anger, the bitterness, the need for everything to make sense. That's healthy. It's exhausting is what it is, but necessary. You seeing anyone? Romantically, I mean. Maybe. Too early to tell. But there's someone I'm talking to. We'll see. He nodded. Good. You deserve that. Sunday, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the bedroom window. The new gray paint looked good in the morning light. Clean, fresh, hopeful. I made coffee and sat on the back patio, watching birds and thinking about everything that had happened over the past few months. The affair, the investigation, the ending, the marriage, the consequences. All of it had led here, to this moment, this quiet Sunday morning, this feeling of peace. I'd lost a lot. My marriage, my innocence, my belief that playing by the rules guaranteed a fair outcome. But I'd gained something too. Strength, self-respect, the knowledge that I could survive anything. And maybe that was enough. My phone buzzed. Text from Rachel. Dinner tonight? My treat. I smiled and typed back. Sounds perfect. Monday morning, 3 weeks after Paul's sentencing, I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. Normally, I wouldn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Is this Daniel Hayes? Who's asking? My name is Marcus Webb. I'm Paul Hendricks' cellmate. He asked me to call you. My stomach dropped. Why? He wants to talk to you, one last time. Says it's important. Tell him no. He said you'd say that. He also said to tell you it's not about blame or anger. He just wants closure. He had his chance for closure. At the sentencing. We're done. Mr. Hayes, tell Paul that actions have consequences. Tell him I'm moving on. And tell him to do the same. I hung up. Sat at my desk for a long moment, hands shaking slightly. This was it. The real end. The actual final moment. Paul wanted closure. Wanted some last word. Some final interaction. But I didn't owe him that. I'd given enough. That afternoon, I got a text from Andrea. Heard Paul tried to contact you. You okay? Yeah. Told him no. Good. Some bridges are better burned than crossed. How are things in Boston? Amazing. New job is challenging. New city is exciting. I feel like I'm 25 again. I'm glad. What about you? Still seeing that woman from the grocery store? Rachel, yeah. We've been on 3 dates. Taking it slow. Smart. Don't rush into anything. Learned that lesson the hard way. We all did. Take care, Dan. You too, Andrea. Tuesday evening, I had dinner with Rachel at an Italian place downtown. We talked about everything. Work, family, future plans. She told me about her dream of opening her own pediatric clinic someday. I told her about maybe going back to school, getting a degree in architecture, designing buildings instead of just maintaining them. You should do it, she said. Life's too short to play it safe forever. Maybe you're right. I am right. We laughed. Shared dessert, walked to our cars in the parking lot. I like spending time with you, she said. I like spending time with you too. Can we do this again? Definitely. She kissed me on the cheek and drove away. I stood in the parking lot for a moment, watching her taillights disappear, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Genuine happiness? Wednesday afternoon, I was at a building inspection when I ran into someone I hadn't seen in months. Jenna, Lauren's friend. She looked embarrassed when she saw me. Dan, hi. Jenna. I wanted to apologize. For not telling you about Lauren and Paul, I should have said something. It's okay. No, it's not. You deserved better. From all of us. Maybe, but it doesn't matter now. Have you heard from Lauren? No, have you? Yeah, she's doing okay. Working as a consultant, renting an apartment, starting over. Good for her. She asked about you. Wanted to know if you're okay? Tell her I am. Tell her I hope she finds what she's looking for. I will. We parted ways. Cordial but distant. Another connection from the past severed. Another chapter closed. Thursday morning, I finalized the ending the marriage settlement. My attorney called. Everything's filed. Judge signed off this morning. You're officially single as of today. That was fast. Sometimes the system works efficiently. Congratulations, Mr. Hayes. Or condolences. Whichever is more appropriate. Both, I think. Fair enough. Good luck with everything. I hung up and sat at my desk, processing that. 14 years of marriage. Over. Done. Finished. I felt nothing. No sadness, no relief. Just acknowledgement. That evening, I drove to the house where Lauren and I had lived together for so many years. My house now, just mine. I walked through each room, looking at everything with fresh eyes. The living room where we'd watch TV, the kitchen where we'd cook dinners, the bedroom where we'd slept next to each other but miles apart. All of it felt different now. Lighter, cleaner. Mine. I went to the basement, found the box of wedding photos I'd packed away months ago, opened it, looked through them, Lauren in her dress, me in my tux, both of us smiling, both of us believing. I closed the box, carried it back upstairs, put it in the attic, not forgotten, but not front and center either, just part of the past. Friday afternoon, Paul's attorney called. "Mr. Hayes, I know you don't want to hear from us, but I wanted to let you know. Paul asked me to deliver a message." I don't want his messages. Just hear me out, please. It'll take 30 seconds. I sighed. Fine, 30 seconds. He says he understands why you did what you did. He says he would have done the same thing in your position. And he says he hopes someday you can forgive him, not for his sake, but for yours. Is that it? That's it. Tell Paul that forgiveness isn't something you earn. It's something you give. And I'm not ready to give it yet. Maybe someday, but not today. I'll tell him. The attorney hung up. I sat in my office, staring out the window at the city below. Paul wanted forgiveness, wanted absolution, wanted to feel like he'd paid his debt, but that wasn't my responsibility. My responsibility was to myself, to heal, to move forward, to build a life worth living. Whether Paul ever found peace wasn't my concern. Saturday, I went on my 4th date with Rachel. We went to a museum, walked through exhibits, talked about art and history and philosophy. At one point, standing in front of a painting of a shipwreck, she turned to me. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Are you over her, your ex-wife?" I thought about it. "Yeah, I think I am." "How do you know?" "Because I can think about her without feeling anything. No anger, no sadness, no regret. Just nothing. She's a person who used to be in my life, that's all." "That's healthy." "Is it?" "Yeah, it means you've processed it, moved through it, come out the other side." We kept walking, hand in hand now, and I realized she was right. I had moved through it. The revenge was over. The consequences had played out. The story had ended. All that was left was life. Sunday morning, I woke up to a beautiful day. Clear sky, cool air, perfect weather. I made coffee and sat on the back patio watching the sunrise. My phone buzzed. Text from Eric. "Fishing next weekend?" "Definitely." "Good. Bring your new lady friend if you want. The guys would love to meet her." "Maybe. I'll ask." I set the phone down and just sat there, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. For months, I'd been focused on revenge, on making Paul pay, on ensuring consequences happened. And they had. Paul was in prison, Andrea was free, Lauren was starting over, everyone had moved on, including me. The house was quiet, peaceful, mine. The future was open, uncertain, full of possibility. I'd lost a lot. But I'd gained something more important. Myself. And that, I realized, was the real revenge. Not destroying Paul, but surviving. Thriving. Becoming someone stronger than I'd been before. That was the victory. I finished my coffee, went inside, started making breakfast. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt completely at peace. Monday morning arrived with that peculiar sense of finality that comes only after a storm has passed. I woke at 6, made my coffee, and stood at the kitchen window watching the neighborhood wake up. Across the street, Frank was already out walking his dog. 2 houses down, the Patel kids were waiting for the school bus. Everything was normal. Beautifully, perfectly normal. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. "Mr. Hayes?" A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. "Speaking." "This is Warden Phillips from FCI Terre Haute. I'm calling to inform you that Paul Hendricks requested to speak with you via phone. He's allowed 1 personal call per week. Would you be willing to accept a call from him?" My chest tightened. After everything, after all this time, he was still reaching out. "No," I said firmly. "I'm not willing. Please note in his file that I decline all future contact." "Understood. I'll make a note. Have a good day, Mr. Hayes." She hung up. I stood there holding the phone, feeling the finality of that decision settle over me like a blanket. That was it, the absolute last thread connecting me to Paul Hendricks. And I'd just cut it. Tuesday evening, I met Rachel for dinner at a small French restaurant she'd been wanting to try. We talked, laughed, shared a bottle of wine, made plans for the weekend. At the end of the night, standing by her car, she looked at me with those kind eyes. "You seem different tonight," she said. "Different how?" "Lighter, like something heavy finally lifted." "Maybe it did. Good. You deserve to be happy, Dan. So do you." She kissed me. Not on the cheek this time, a real kiss. The kind that says, "I'm interested." I kissed her back. When we finally pulled apart, she was smiling. "I'll call you tomorrow," she said. "I hope you do." I drove home feeling like a different person. Not the man who'd discovered his wife's affair. Not the man who'd sought revenge. Not the man consumed by anger and hurt. Just Dan. Finally, just Dan again. Wednesday afternoon, I was at work when Marcus Preston, the attorney Andrea had sent to accompany me to the station, called. "Mr. Hayes, just wanted to give you a heads up. Paul Hendrick's appeal was denied this morning." "He appealed?" "Of course he appealed. Everyone appeals. But the judge upheld the original sentence. 5 years, no reduction. He'll serve the full term." "Okay. Thought you'd want to know. Consider it the final punctuation mark on the whole saga. Thanks for letting me know." After he hung up, I sat at my desk for a long moment. The final punctuation mark. That's exactly what it was. Paul had tried everything. Denial, blame, manipulation, legal appeals. Nothing had worked. He was going to serve his time, all of it, and I was free. Thursday morning, I received an email from Andrea. "Heard about Paul's appeal being denied. Wanted to check in. How are you?" I wrote back. "Good. Really good. Dating someone? Moving forward. Life feels normal again. I'm so glad. You earned this piece." "So did you. How's Boston?" "Perfect. Met someone too, actually. Attorney at my firm. Taking it slow, but it feels right." "That's great, Andrea." "Thank you for everything, Dan. I know we don't talk much anymore, but I want you to know. What we did mattered. Not just for us. For everyone Paul would have hurt if he'd kept going." "I know. Take care of yourself." "You too." Friday afternoon, I was leaving work when I ran into my boss, Michael. "Dan, got a minute?" "Sure." We stepped into his office. "These past few months has been exceptional. I know you've been dealing with personal stuff, but it hasn't affected your performance at all. If anything, you've been sharper." "Thanks, Mike. I'm promoting you. Senior Operations Manager. 15% raise, bigger office, more responsibility. You've earned it." I was stunned. "Seriously?" "Seriously. You're one of the best we have. I'd be crazy not to promote you." "Thank you. You start in the new position Monday." "Congratulations, Dan." I left his office in a daze. Everything was coming together. The job, the relationship, the peace, all the pieces falling into place. Saturday, I took Rachel to meet Eric and his friends at the lake. She fit in perfectly, laughed at their jokes, helped clean fish, didn't complain about getting dirty or smelling like bait. "I like her," Eric said quietly while she was talking to one of the other guys. "Me too." "She's good for you." "Yeah, she is." On the drive home, Rachel reached over and took my hand. "Thanks for bringing me today," she said. "Thanks for coming." "Your friends are great. They really care about you." "Yeah, they've been there through everything. You're lucky to have them." "I know." That night, Rachel stayed over for the first time. Nothing happened. We just talked, watched a movie, fell asleep on the couch together. When I woke up Sunday morning, she was still there, sleeping peacefully, looking beautiful in the morning light, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Contentment, not happiness, not excitement, not passion, just simple, quiet contentment, like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Monday morning, I started my new position at work. Bigger office, better view, more responsibility. It felt good. Earned, right. Tuesday afternoon, I got a notification on my phone, ending the marriage finalized, official, legal, complete. I stared at the notification for a moment. Then I deleted it and moved on. Wednesday evening, I was cooking dinner when someone knocked on the door. I checked the camera. Vanessa from the neighborhood barbecue. I opened the door. "Hey, Vanessa." "Hey, Dan. Sorry to bother you. I just wanted to invite you to a holiday party we're having in December. Nothing fancy, just neighbors getting together." "Sounds great. Can I bring someone?" "Of course. Bring whoever you want." "Thanks. I'll be there." After she left, I went back to cooking. Made enough for 2. Rachel was coming over for dinner. This was my life now. Normal, domestic, boring, and I loved every second of it. Thursday afternoon, I received one final letter from Paul. I recognized the handwriting on the envelope. Federal prison return address? I held it in my hands for a long time. Then, without opening it, I walked to the fireplace and threw it in. Watched it burn. Watched the paper curl and blacken and turn to ash. I didn't need to read it. Didn't need his words. Didn't need his apology or his blame or whatever else he wanted to say. I was done. Friday evening, Rachel and I went to dinner at the Italian place again. Over dessert, she looked at me seriously. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "Of course. I'm falling for you. I know it's early. I know we're taking it slow, but I needed you to know." My heart swelled. "I'm falling for you too." She smiled, reached across the table, took my hand. "Good, because I was worried I was the only one." "You're not." We sat there for a long time, just holding hands, just being together. And I realized something profound. Revenge hadn't healed me. Justice hadn't healed me. Even consequences hadn't healed me. What healed me was this. Connection, honesty, vulnerability, love. This was the revenge. Not what I'd done to Paul, but what I'd built for myself after.